A spectacularly sunny 83-degree afternoon going to yield to a beautiful evening over the course of 400 miles in the Ford EcoBoost 400, the final race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Field of cars beginning to roll from their positions along the turn 4 end of the pit lane of the Homestead Miami Speedway out onto the track for 3 paraded pace laps before the green flag. The 3 drivers who could be champion are the focus of these reports from pit road. Here's Dave Burns.
Alan, it's a hashtag, it's a set of incredible abs, it's a tailgating tradition, yet to Jimmy Johnson, 6-pack can be a bridge to history. A 6th championship removes the 5-time moniker from him and puts him in position for an incredible 7th. But let's not get ahead. This bridge is still 400 miles down the road. Jamie Little?
Matt Kenseth is coming off what he considers the worst performance for the 20 team all year long. They finished 23rd. They're down 28 points, but they said, hey, we're going to rebound. They captured the pole on Friday, led both practice sessions yesterday. Crew chief Jason Ratcliffe told me their goal tonight is simply to win. If that's not good enough to win the championship, they still consider this the best season of their career. Vince Welch?
Following the death of Dale Earnhardt in 2001, a rookie named Kevin Harvick stepped into the seat at Richard Childress Racing with an emotional victory in just his 3rd start. 13 years later, 22 more wins on the resume, Harvick closes his career, or at least this portion of it, at RCR. And he says today he has a race car that's good enough that he just might be leaving it in victory lane. Alan?
All right, Vince, thanks. And a driver who might have contended with these 3 for the championship today had it not been for one hiccup in the opening race of the chase. Is our ESPN in-race reporter on the day. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has scored the 2nd most points in the 8 races since that Chicago opener when they had the engine failure. Really running well. Should be a factor for the win today. He's our ESPN in-race reporter, and it's time to talk to him.
Yeah, what might have been there for him.
Yeah.
Hey, Dale Jr., Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy? Dale Jr., Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, Dale Jr., we had a lot of questions, and a lot of them the same from your fans, but the one that we chose from our mailbag was from Bill in San Antonio, Texas, and he says, do you feel that you and Steve Letarte have built enough chemistry to the point that you could have multiple victories and contend for the Sprint Cup title in 2014?
Well, I feel like that we've really made a good account of ourselves in the chase. We ran so good. Real proud of my team, proud of our sponsors. Everything's just, went almost perfect, and we feel like we're real close to winning a race here. Maybe we can get one today, but you kind of, you don't want the season to end, especially when you run like this. You just don't want them to end because we're having so much fun.
Junior, you're not there for that championship mainly because of that very first race. But you have a lot to race for here tonight. A top 5 finish in the season-ending point stand is a lot to be proud of. You can accomplish that here. How do you attack this racetrack that's very treacherous?
Well, you're going to have the sun coming down in your eyes into turn 1. You won't be able to see anything, especially if you like to run the high groove, which a lot of us do. It'll be real hard to get in the corner there and use the wall like you need to without getting into it accidentally. So got to be real careful. That'll start around 10 minutes to 4. And be a bit of a problem for about a half hour, and then it'll go away, hopefully. But other than that, the car, our car's been handling pretty good. We've been pretty fast to practice, happy with the speed and the balance. And I know Steve and the guys worked hard last night trying to get us a good piece here on the start grid. We're about to find out just how good it is.
Okay, thanks for talking with us. We look forward to talking to you later on in the race.
Thank you.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. got a little bit of work to do to get up to the front of the pack, starting back in 21st place. Some great high-definition onboard views for you for the course of this 400 miles. Riding with Jamie McMurray. He's got our McDonald's on board. Last year's champ, Brad Keselowski, with the Ford EcoBoost camera. Danica Patrick has the GoDaddy on board. And Clint Boyer has our 5-hour energy camera. Matt Kenseth, starting on pole position, has the Fresh from Florida on board. One of his rivals for the title, Kevin Harvick, has our Chevy on board.
All right, fellas, one last shot here. Appreciate everything you guys have done. Not only this year, a lot of you have been around we started that nationwide shop, and appreciate the relationships, the friendships, everything that comes on the racetrack has been a lot of fun.
Kevin Harvick in his final ride for Richard Childress Racing today. The man who would be champ, Jimmy Johnson, is carrying our lows on board.
All right, fellas, first and foremost, once again, I just want to say I'm very proud of everybody, very proud of the work, the effort that's gone into this very, very productive 2013 season.
And you already heard from Dale Earnhardt Jr. today carrying our Goodyear onboard camera. The Ford EcoBoost 400 about to get underway. Reminder, you can check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy for enhanced coverage from Homestead Miami Speedway. 10 HD live race views, live chat, and live leaderboard available there. So, mile-and-a-half track, 400 miles means 267 laps the distance. Sunset going to be about 5:32 Eastern time, so still a couple of hours away. But that big transition, you heard Dale Jr. talk about it, from afternoon into the twilight with the visibility issues for the drivers, and then the handling change for the crew chiefs to fight with as the sun sets.
Yeah, there's a lot to deal with here, not just drivers battling for championship stuff, but a lot of different changing conditions, and it's whoever adapts to that and makes the right calls, because this racetrack is going to change. You're going to have to adjust your car, Andy.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of crew chiefs, and they said this track probably changes more than any of them when it does cool off, and they expect it to get freer, mainly coming off the corners, and they'll have to really dial in some adjustability and adjust these cars every stop.
And, of course, the big story of the moment, the emotions inside the race car on top of the pit box for those who want to be champ.
Yeah, this is the time that you wanted to get to, the opportunity now to go try to win a championship.
Yeah, you're sitting on that box and you think, man, this is the opportunity that I dreamed of. It's here today. It's right in front of us.
Matt Kenseth has chosen the outside lane for the start as the pole sitter. Good crowd on hand, and they're on their feet for the start of the final race of the season, the Ford EcoBoost 400. Kenseth leads lap one, a little three wide back in the pack, but they've sorted it out pretty well in this top 10.
Yeah, it was already a close encounter for second there. Brad Keselowski had a huge run on Kurt Busch, almost got into the back of that 78 car.
Jimmy Johnson, three wide for a spot. Trying to get sixth place from Denny Hamlin, 11, and Martin Truex, 56.
Pretty aggressive in this early stage for Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, this car was really, really good in practice yesterday, and I expect to see Jimmy hang around the bottom to the middle of the racetrack for quite a while before he ventures up to that top side.
Racing Kevin Harvick for fifth place.
I tell you, it's going to be a tough go down on the bottom of the racetrack today, though. I see Jimmy trying to make it work. That upper lane is really going to win out just about every time.
It is. The first 10 laps, you can make it work, and I think Jimmy's car is good enough to do that. After that, you're going to have to start venturing up to that top side, and Jimmy will do that when he feels comfortable with everything.
Yeah, we heard him count down Brad Keselowski talking about running that top lane. He said, if you run up there, you're going to hit something. I think that's the biggest reason we don't see Jimmy up there right now.
You know, we've seen it. I've watched two races here over the weekend, both for championship. I've seen the leaders of the race in the Truck Series and in the Nationwide Series if they get into the wall at some point in time.
Jimmy, for now, able to clear Harvick, move up to the fifth position. Martin Truex in that 56 car trying to follow him through. One of what I've called earlier in the weekend 1,000 stories in the field. Truex's last ride for Michael Waltrip Racing. Napa's last ride as a team sponsor in this sport for now that we know of.
A lot of drivers out in this race today with different emotions as this thing got ready to start. They're all glad that they're finally in this position of doing what they love to do, and that's drive race cars. But yeah, I can identify with a few of them. In particular, Ken Schrader and Mark Martin, as they got ready to go, I remember what that was like, that feeling of knowing that was probably the last time you were going to start a Winston Cup race. Or, I'm sorry, Sprint Cup race. Dating myself there.
I wasn't going to point that out. Denny Hamlin, 11, another story. What a miserable season it's been. The late March crash with Joey Logano racing for the win in the final lap out in California. The back injury, out of the car for a month. And then just what a miserable season it's been since then. Hamlin hoping to establish a little momentum to take into the offseason with his team and head to Daytona in February on a positive note.
Well, you see a slide job right there by Martin Truex. Able to slide up in front of Kevin Harvick, but Harvick had the momentum.
Yeah. Denny Hamlin telling me that he's feeling better health-wise week after week. That's helping him to get a better feel of the race car, be able to communicate better with his crew and getting better performance on a weekly basis. So he would really like to have a good outing here today.
It's a pretty good little tussle for that 5th and 6th position. It's all going on behind Matt Kenseth. Started on pole, took the lead in the first lap, and has led all of them so far. But we're just underway in South Florida. Jimmy Johnson shooting for a championship, running 5th. Yellow flag out in the opening laps of the Ford EcoBoost 400 as Travis Kvapil has scrubbed the wall between turns 3 and 4. Here come the leaders to the opening of the pit lane. Not everybody coming in, but almost everybody. Dave?
Jimmy Johnson said his car is not bad, a little bit snug. I've got to be patient with it. Chad asked him, if we pit, you want a little something? Just barely a wedge adjustment, 4 fresh tires, and full of Sunoco fuel. Vince?
Hearing a lot of guys talk about tight, but not Brad Keselowski. He likes this 2 car. They're going to put 4 fresh Goodyear tires on it, Sunoco fuel, no other changes. Jamie.
78 of Kurt Busch started on the front row. 4 tires stop. Meanwhile, the 20, Matt Kenseth, right sides only is the call, and it was a good stop, 6.2.
Yeah, we're going to see a few strategy plays here with our race off pit road. Kenseth and Harvick, among others. There's the prize. They've raced all season long for it since late February at Daytona. And now we come to the season's final race after some 13,500 miles of competition with 3 drivers eligible for that one prize. First caution in the final race of the year when Travis Kvapil scrubbed the wall in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, there he is. He's the first one to get sucked up into that wall. I think that ball's going to chew up quite a few cars today.
Yeah, and they have to throw the caution there because you can see it hit pretty hard. Parts and pieces start coming off of this. That's where everybody's running.
Yeah, ended up being another piece of debris down in turn 1 that they went and picked up. So that's the reason for the yellow. Strategy played here. Denny Hamlin did not pit from 7th place. He's now the leader, but everybody else did.
Oh,
and
wow.
I mean everybody.
Not going to be fun.
Harvick leading, Kenseth chasing him. Then Dale Jr. and Jimmy Johnson. Here's 3 wide behind him for 5th. While up front, Kenseth with a good outside run.
See how good Kenseth's car is right through the center of the corner. Really carry a lot of speed there. Harvick had to slow his down a little bit more, but good drive off. Nice battle. They both got bonus points right now for leading.
Yeah, looks like Kenseth's on a mission, though. He wants to lead the most.
You better get out there because he can look in his mirror and see somebody coming.
Yeah, he's got 4 tires against the 2 that Kenseth took on. Although the lefts only have 10 laps on them, they do lose a lot of grip.
Yeah, quick strategy recap to play off what Andy's saying. The right side tire only changers. Harvick, Dale Jr., Kenseth, Elliott Sadler, Danica Patrick. Denny Hamlin did not hit, went from 7th to 1st. He's already fallen deeper than 7th. Jimmy Johnson looking for 2nd place here.
Yeah, he restarted 8th, so you can see just how much those 4 tires are working for him.
Now, DJ, you talked about expecting to see him run an aggressive race.
Yeah, as I talked to Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson both today, that was the vibe that I got, that they felt like their car was good enough to win this race. They would like for the celebration to be all 48 at the end of this day.
Race trophy,
yes.
Championship trophy. Well, Dave, right now, he's up in the 2nd spot.
And as to that lower groove, Alan, I talked to Chad about it. He said Jimmy used the high line some in practice, but he didn't have to have it for speed as some others did. He told me that our car was fast, even on the low line where it's, I said, not safe. And he kind of smiled, and I got the idea that, yeah, he wants to stay down there because that wall can eat up cars. We already talked about it, and that low line may be Jimmy's best asset today.
Yeah, Dave, I had a couple other people tell me they would not expect to see the 48 running up high, which is a balance because there is some speed to be found there.
There is speed, and probably before this night's over, or maybe even the afternoon, but certainly as we get into the night part of it, where the speeds pick up, you're going to have to get there. I always found as a driver, if I could make my car be really good on the bottom, I could work my way around the middle and top of the racetrack much better with a car that handled well on the bottom side.
Yeah, but most of the guys I talked to this morning said that there is really a couple of tenths of speed right up next to the wall versus just being off of it a car width. So that's why you're going to see guys really pushing the limits on how close they get to that wall.
Just an observation. Top 3 in points, running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Not necessarily in that championship order, but in the race, and that's why they're top 3 in points.
And then last year's champion in 4th.
Yeah. And looking for more.
It's almost like you can take a car that's not quite as fast as the guy behind you, park it in that upper lane, and they can't really get by you.
Makes it difficult, for sure.
When you won a championship, you both been in the situation. You came back the next year. That next time you weren't in the mix for it when it came down to it. That's got to be kind of awkward. Huh?
Oh, yeah, what a letdown. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You know, and the other thing that I've seen is the biggest motivation factor that I had was going to the banquet every year and not being the one to speak last.
Yeah.
That was just got you charged up. Well, this 48 team's had 2 years of that. They had 5 straight years where they were the last ones and had the last word. I think they've got a ton of motivation here today.
Yeah, once you've tasted that, nothing else will match up to it. I tell you, you really want to do it again.
And I threw that at you thinking about the driver of this too, Brad Keselowski, who I remember sitting at the banquet with him a couple of years ago when Tony Stewart won the championship. At the after party for Tony, he and I had this long conversation about what it would be like. I didn't even get near him last year when he won the championship. Trouble? Quapple again.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, they don't usually drive better.
Pretty well. We're just trying to work on it, bud.
Well, 2 for 2 on caution flags, and that's not a stat you want to lead. Let's finish that story on Brad. There were so many people around him constantly last year, and I was thinking about him when he was in the pit studio during Countdown today about what his experience will be like going to Vegas this year. Not even not being the champion, not even making the chase.
Yeah, certainly. But Brad will use it in a positive way to get himself and his race team ready, and that's what you have to do.
Keselowski running 3rd, saving fuel. And Travis Quapple trying to figure out what's going on with this 93 car.
Yeah, he's already dinged the car up against the wall, and I'm sure it's just not driving well. You can see the rear spoilers, the rear quarter panel around that rear spoiler. Even the spoiler's all bent up. It's going to just be struggling with that thing.
Pitted at lap 11.
Okay, here we go again. I mean, you know, they lose so much speed, and they do it quickly, these tires do. So I think if we keep seeing the caution fly every 10 laps, we're going to see a lot of tires used.
I can guarantee you one we're going to see on pit road. Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure
he won't be alone.
No, exactly.
I'll tell you what, I want tires. I want to keep tires on my car because you don't want to be, you want to keep your car on offense. You don't want to be on defense because you can get wrecked that way too. even if you're starting up front, you've got all these guys chewing on your bumper on restarts if you don't have tires.
I was impressed by some of the 2-tire stops, though. I wasn't sure how that would work.
But there again, the lefts only had about 10 laps on them, so that was about the only situation that's going to work well.
Yeah, and with as many cars as are going to be on the lead lap, you know there are going to be people try it under circumstances like that all day long to see what they get.
Looks like the only one staying out this time is a pace car.
That's probably a good idea, right, Dave?
Nice. Jimmy didn't like that adjustment. He'll give up second. He said, let's turn another knob. So they put the wedge back. They go to the track bar. It'll be another 4-tire change. Vince?
The 2-car of Brad Keselowski, it's a little bit neutral. He's going to make a 4-tire change for Keselowski. Now the 29 of Kevin Harvick says it won't turn in the center and it's lost grip on exit, just 2 tires and chassis. Jamie.
The 20 car said a little tighter rolling. They expected that little loose on exit. 4-tire stop this time. Remember, he took right sides only, as you see. Different strategy going by the 20.
Our Pep Boys race off pit road. The 2-tire, 4-tire game going to shuffle up the track position again.
Yeah, Harvick changed 2 tires again.
Well, Kevin Harvick in a close fight with Matt Kenseth to be the guy in position should something happen to Jimmy Johnson. Harvick now leading this race under the caution. Miami, population of this area, some 2.4 million plus. Average daily temperature year-round, 76 degrees.
Well, now you know why so many people live here.
I do. It's 82 this afternoon.
What a beautiful day.
On a beautiful day as we get set just south of downtown at the Homestead Miami Speedway to restart the Ford EcoBoost 400. Our green flag restart presented by Nationwide Insurance. '34, David Reagan did not pit under the yellow. And I feel pretty confident in saying that that's the kind of situation that's going to cause Jimmy Johnson the most worry all day.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot of this today because every time that caution comes out, especially after a short run, you're going to see different strategies.
Yeah, as I mentioned, one of those things that he can't control is the 42 other drivers.
That car on the slower, older tires fading back into the pack and people darting around him is really hairy.
Yeah, one of those cars might be Kevin Harvick this run. He got 2 tires twice now, so he's got about 20-plus laps on his lefts. I'm not sure this is going to work as good.
These guys that I'm racing around in front of me are just substantially better. Yeah, 10-4.
Thoughts from Kevin Harvick, who is now trying to hang on to 4th place. So Kurt Busch is the new leader. Strategy update, guys that just changed the rights on the caution. Harvick, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Eric Almirola, Marcus Ambrose, Mark Martin, and Ryan Newman's teams. Matt Kenseth was the leader, took 4 tires, restarted 8th. You see Matt's up to 3rd, behind the Busch brothers.
Seen this 20 team and Matt Kenseth be really, really good on these mile-and-a-half tracks this year.
Yeah. Now those 2 cars.
Yes.
Matt and Kyle Busch. Matt 4 wins, Kyle 2. Kevin Harvick's got a couple of wins on the mile-and-a-half tracks this year.
I think what I'm seeing, though, when it comes time, if you're going to win, you better have 4 tires on the car.
Yeah, that's what I've seen so far.
Well, I'm just wondering, as you're sitting thinking, doesn't it depend on where you are in the line, too, though, right? And how many laps are on the lefts and how many laps to go?
Absolutely it does. I mean, for Matt Kenseth, he was leading the race. He could get those 4 tires and not lose too many spots. He restarted 8th. You know, if you're mid-pack and you haven't been able to pass cars all day and you've run 10 or 12 laps, that's the time to get those right sides and move up.
And those are the decisions that give the crew chief ulcers.
It's going to cost you, though. You might move up, but if you get that situation and then have a long green flag run, you're going to be in serious trouble to a lot of people that had 4 tires. Your car's going to be out of control.
And again, all this conversation because the surface at this Homestead Miami Speedway, sitting in the South Florida sun, even though it's relatively new, 2003, it does chew up the tires a little bit. Now that's a desirable thing where racing is concerned, and look at the kind of competition it helps give us.
Yeah, and it's not chewing up the tires to the point that they're blistering or anything like that. It just wears them down. You lose grip, and there's no, as Andy pointed out earlier, there's not much grip to be had here to start with, and that's what these drivers love about this racetrack. So much of it's put in their hands. You know, they've got the car, you make the adjustments, you put tires on when you can. I've got to do the rest then.
Pressure applied, pressure deflected. Matt Kenseth back to the lead again, but Jimmy Johnson right there with him, saying, yeah, got a pretty good car myself.
Yeah, both guys got to feel pretty good about doing what they need to do. Matt Kenseth is out front, led the most laps so far. That's what he has to do. And Jimmy's sitting there. As long as I can see that back bumper, that 20, I know I'm really good because I've got a 28-point lead.
Guy that's been on the move in this run of the race since the restart is Jeff Gordon. Restarted 21st. He's up to 11th.
Yeah, really fast. Of course, won this race last year. Aside from a couple of races here in the chase, he's been really good also.
Yep. Talked to Alan Gustafson, his crew chief, this morning. Alan, very optimistic about their chances for today and their opportunity to end this season holding the race win again.
You know, I talked to a number of drivers and crew chiefs alike that were talking about, yeah, we've had a really good chase. The problem is this 48 sets such a high standard. You have to have an absolutely great chase if you're going to be a part of it and have a chance when you come here to Homestead.
And, of course, the story of the championship for Jeff Gordon. He won that race in Martinsville, broke the season-long dry spell, but then the very next week had the problems in Texas that resulted in a 38th place finish. And as soon as he brought himself back into the championship conversation, kicked him right back out. Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, 4th place, Kurt's last ride in this 78 team. He moves on to Stewart Haas Racing next season, and while they've been thus far frustrated at scoring a win, Kurt says, you know, when I sat back and thought about it, what a ride it's been with this team this year. Better than I could have hoped for, he said.
It's been fantastic, and he's made this a better race team, and I think as a driver you can feel good about that when you're leaving somewhere, that you made it better than what it was when you got there.
Yeah, I spent some time with him this week, and one of the things he was really proud of the accomplishments they've had this year is that he has had more top fives at Furniture Road Racing than he had the whole time at Penske, and he said that to him is a source of pride. They've had really good cars. They haven't won yet, but he said that's still a possibility today. They think they have a really good car.
Running in 5th place right now, just over 50 miles into the Ford EcoBoost 400. The race being led by the top 2 in the championship. Jimmy Johnson running 2nd to Matt Kenseth, the man who's trying to pursue him throughout the day and wrestle that big trophy away.
Patriots might find it tough going down there in Carolina now.
We'll just see. I know one thing. I'll be watching.
Yep, they're excited in Charlotte to have him coming into town Monday night. Doesn't get any better.
Matt Kenseth leading Jimmy Johnson. There's the gap 1st to 2nd. I'll say this, as I went through the garage area this morning, a lot of folks know I'm originally from New England and a Patriots fan, and a lot of the race teams based in Charlotte. I don't think I talked to anybody that didn't mention that football game. How about this? Jimmy Johnson with a very Tom Brady-like performance. Pursuing another championship. Dave, he's running 2nd.
I don't know where to go with that. Let's go this direction. Hey, following final practice yesterday, Jimmy said he had comfort in the car. I asked Chad about that this morning, and he said that's good news because in the heat of the day, that's really hard to find at this track. And yesterday's practices were the hottest weather of the weekend so far. Then he told me the comfort only increases as the track cools down and the grip picks up. So the car looks good now. It may get better later.
That helps the balance. Still be a little deeper on the track. Maybe a little bit more turn still. That would be changed.
Yeah, I'm seeing Jimmy still run a pretty conservative line. It looks like he wants a little bit of help with this car, but this point in time of the race, probably doing everything that he really cares about doing.
Kevin Harvick has slipped back after the 2nd consecutive right side only tire call by Gil Martin on that pit stop. Harvick's back to the 8th spot, challenged there by Dale Jr. in the 88.
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job with what he has to work with right now. I think his car is really good. but those left side tires having all those laps on them has really put him at a disadvantage. But Vince, it looks like once they get 4 tires on this thing, it might be pretty good.
Well, they put air pressure in the first stop, and they took air pressure out the second stop. The air pressure they put in, they took right back out. Kevin described it with one word, guys. Terrible.
There you go.
I think he'll have a different comment once he gets 4 tires on it. He's on equal footing.
Imagine what the other 35 are thinking about their cars that he's ahead of.
That helmet Kevin Harvick's wearing, decorated up, commemorating many of the special moments that he has shared in his time at Richard Childress Racing.
That's actually one of the coolest helmets I've ever seen. That's a neat thing.
Yeah, they've certainly accomplished a lot in their time together.
Casey Kane 5, Denny Hamlin 11. This is 12th and 13th. Hamlin trying to dig back out of that hole, but he did not pit on the lap 11 stops that everybody else did. He went from 7th to 1st. Then when they dropped the green flag on the restart, he went from 1st to 19th.
Yeah, I think he was very fortunate that run didn't go on any longer than what it did before we had that next caution. And he's able to rebound here, got some tires on it, and moving back forward.
And Casey Kane, anytime you come to one of these mile-and-a-half tracks, got to put him in the conversation of guys to keep an eye out for. He just always seems to run well and be a factor, and he might have 2 or 3 wins on this kind of configuration track this year, if not for Matt Kenseth. He seemed to be the guy that finished second to Matt in a lot of Matt's wins earlier in the season.
Consistently this run, that 24 car has been the fastest. Just Matt passed another car with Brad Keselowski on his way to the front.
That's 4th place he just picked up. Get to these last races of the season and you start thinking back over the year for drivers, and so easy to forget how many races Jeff Gordon was so close to winning early in the season, and how the whole year might have been different if just one of those had fallen his way.
They certainly have run good enough to win 3 or 4 races this year.
Looking down at Jeff, Brad Keselowski, and Josh Wise from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything we learn making tires that face the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. A.J. Allmendinger went to the garage a little bit ago in the 47 car. He's just come back out onto the racetrack. And Matt Kenseth continues to hold the lead in this race. He's about to complete the 53rd lap of the event, and he's led 44 of them. That's the good news for Matt. Bad news is the guy he needs to have a hiccup today, if he's going to win the championship, is right behind him. Jimmy Johnson seeking the 6-pack, running second. Underway in the final race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup season at Homestead Miami Speedway in South Florida. Travis Kvapil's been the one that's had early trouble twice, and Matt Kenseth had no problems at all. He's been out in front for 49 of 58 laps early in this championship deciding event. ESPN's coverage of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on a beautiful afternoon just south of Miami, Homestead Miami Speedway, where Matt Kenseth leads, but Jimmy Johnson is second. Kevin Harvick, the 3rd driver in the championship play, running 8th at this point. Just the 2 quick caution flags. Other than that, all 43 drivers that started the race are on the track. Jimmy Johnson looking to clinch a 6th championship. Had a big point lead starting the day. This is racing. A lot of things can happen. Circumstances you can control, circumstances that you can't around you. And Jimmy's had some bad luck at this racetrack the last couple of years.
And even that race last year in 2012, he had a car as good as we're seeing now. Maybe even better. He had a car that probably could win the race and had some problems, so you never know. These things are never over till they're over.
Jimmy himself has said in the press conferences and even the interviews he did with us just before the start of the race that you got to run. You got to run all 400 miles in order to take home that big trophy. Now, a couple of chunks of strategy have been played out on the 2 sets of pit stops we've had here. People taking just right sides only on this last set of stops at lap 25. And you see where we are now. 7 cars took just right side tires. 6 of them have lost a lot of ground. The only exception to that rule, Kyle Busch. And Doc, he's running third.
Yeah, amazing. You know, he led the most laps in this race a year ago, 191 laps, only to fade late and finish fourth. You know, Kyle said the car would not turn early in the race. He didn't have much grip, and then the car would just snap free up off. They put 4 tires on the first time, and as you said, AB, 2 tires on the second time. He said on the radio just a moment ago to crew chief Dave Rogers, these front shocks you've got on the car are killing me. I have a lot less grip than I had yesterday. I still don't have any grip in, and I try to get on the throttle, and it wants to break free coming off, but he's hanging tough right now in third spot.
And Andy, that's how the guys that changed just the rights at lap 25 have fared in this run of the race.
I can see some of them not so good. Kurt Busch has really fell back to 16th. And Kyle Busch is doing a great job.
So Kyle Busch running third, trying to finish up what, while he won't win the championship, it's been a really good season for Kyle and that 18 team. On this stretch run of the race, Kurt Busch has fallen back a lot. There's the tracker on Kurt since the restart.
Right front with all the camber taken out, it feels like a fresh daisy right now. Got all kinds of looseness in here. Scale of 1 to 10, it's a 15.
That's loose. He might be the only guy that can drive one that's that loose.
Remember, loose is when the back end of the car wants to kind of spin around on you when you turn into the corner. Less grip with the rear tires than you got with the front.
And why do they take all the camber out of the right front, Andy?
They're probably taking it out, but from what they've seen in practice, the tire wear. And some guys actually, crew chiefs and drivers have certain setups that they kind of lean towards. And I've talked to Todd Berrier quite a bit. He says they always run better with less camber in the right front. A lot of teams will push that, and we see some of them have tire failures because of it. I don't think we'll see that here today, though.
Real nice run for Paul Menard in this 27 for Richard Childress Racing, just up to that 6th place.
Yeah, I think the last few weeks have been really good for this race team. We've seen some improvement with speed, seen them qualifying better and racing better.
Yeah, Paul Menard's got to get up on that wheel. He's got a new baby coming. Not too many more weeks. Him and Jen are expecting.
So 40 laps from the caution flag pit stops, and here come the beginnings of a round of green flag pit stops. Jamie McMurray, Marcus Ambrose are in, Vince.
9 top 10s for Jamie McMurray this season, only 3 all of last season. They've certainly gone in a positive direction, but right now it's been a bit of a struggle. The car is just way too free for him to do anything with, so they got to make some changes there, Jamie.
Marcus Ambrose in the 9 started the day 23rd. He's been loose. Decided they're off sequence, so they wanted to bring it in and get some fresh tires. Doc?
Jeff Burton in his final ride here said the car's really been pretty good. They've been putting 4 tires on every time. He said the car been a little bit loose off. Left side tires now going on the final ride for the Chevy. No trouble, left rear lug nut issue. And they finally get it back on. Lengthy stop, 16 plus seconds.
Now, the one thing that makes crew chiefs freak out when they're trying to call their driver in and time the pit stop is when somebody with another team reports debris to a NASCAR official.
Yeah, and I just saw Greg Biffle slow a lot, like he was coming into the pits. I don't know if he missed it or if they told him that maybe there might be a caution coming out.
There is a caution right here. Debris turn 4.
Caution outside.
Juan Pablo Montoya already on the pit lane. He has to get to the scoring line at the end of pit road without exceeding the pit road speed limit before the leader, Matt Kenseth, in order to not lose another lap. And he's going to get that done. Barely. So 3rd yellow of the race out just as the green flag stop started, and looks like a piece of brake ducting, hosing, cooling hose.
Yeah, it could have been a lot more of that, and some of that stuff has wire in it, so you can't leave it out there. Here was Biffle getting ready to come down the pit road. I have to believe that they told him that they were talking about a caution. He was still on the lead lap and was able, by staying out there, to stay on the lead lap.
Like I said, when one of those spotters relay radios in possible debris and NASCAR starts having that crosstalk on their channel about from race control to their spotters in the corner, do you see anything? That makes the crew chief go, ah.
Yeah, especially Luke Lambert. He just made a pit stop with Jeff Burton. He saw the 42 car Montoya just able to save one.
Your first, Dave.
5-time will get a couple of cans of Sunoco fuel, and he'll get another adjustment for a car that he says is tight until he puts wheel to it. Then it becomes a little snappy loose. Wedge and 4 tires for 48. Doc?
Left lower, Jeff Gordon from 26 to 4th, said the car was snug early in the run, then became very free entry, free off. Going to make a half turn under the left rear, get a full Sunoco fuel. Kyle Busch, 4 tires, air pressure adjustment. Jamie.
Matt Kenseth said he's just a little tight rolling off the gas, but loose when he's on the gas. All the way down here in the #1 pit box, they can keep their eye on the competition. 4 tire stop, it was clean, and as you see, he gets out ahead of the 48.
Sometimes, because what happens on pit road, a little mistake can be so costly. We see the errors that are pointed out, but boy, aren't those pit crews good.
Oh, they do it time after time.
Matt Kenseth's crew hanging on to the lead for him. Jimmy Johnson seeking a 6th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. The Southern Californian having a great day so far here at Homestead Miami Speedway, though a minor irritant just popped up on his last pit stop.
When you use that lighted pit on the pit sign, pit board, I almost missed you guys. We got it, brother. What's the time? We got it. It wasn't on, if that's what you're saying. Yes, he was. He was using it. Yes, 10-4. I'm on the other side of it. I couldn't see it. I don't know what to tell you. We can't do much more. I'm not sure it was on.
You can see it. Easy to see from that vantage point.
That's not Jimmy's vantage point, though. This is.
Not so easy.
Remember, Dale Jr. told us, as our in-race reporter on the pace laps, that from about 8 after 4, I think he said, or 10 after 4, for about a half hour, visibility was going to be tough, headed down toward turn 1.
Three and 4 wide again.
What we love about this racetrack. For the lead, Jimmy Johnson showing a fender to Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, I think the competitive side of Jimmy would just be, I want to show you that I can lead this race if I need to.
Yeah, but I think Matt Kenseth is going to run him just as hard as if it was the last lap.
Yep.
If Jimmy gets the lead, I don't think Matt's going to give it to him.
As they have been for most of the chase, pretty evenly matched.
You know, I was thinking while we were watching that what a shame the stumbles that Kenseth and the team had last Sunday at Phoenix, because this is how we expected this championship to be decided, with these two guys having to come here to the last race and race for the win to get the title.
Yeah, we certainly expected that. Of course, you know, you can look at other times, you know, they'll point out Talladega also, but it all happened. They were right there until last week at Phoenix, and just had one of those bad weeks. The problem is you only had one race to recover. If that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, then they're still right in the middle of this.
Yeah, if they had a good race last week, this would be similar to the battle we saw between Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart. Both cars running extremely well today.
Well, for now, Matt able to fend off the initial challenge of Jimmy. Or Jimmy decided he didn't want to press that hard. Combination of the two, whatever it might be. And Kevin Harvick still mired back in traffic from the last run there, where his car's handling didn't agree with taking just right side tires for a second time in a row.
Big run off of turn 2. If he can get clear of Boyer.
Yeah, that's where you can see that that high line will pay off. We'll watch Boyer, see if he can get a run. Although he's not right up against the wall, it may not be as big a run as what Harvick had down in 1 and 2. But that's a lot easier to do. As I talk to these drivers, you got a lot more grip down in 1 and 2. You can be a lot more aggressive on that end of the track. You think about the races that we've seen here this weekend in the practice, nobody's really gotten into the wall down in 1 and 2. Everything's happened in 3 and 4, where the sun is always on that end of the racetrack.
Joey Logano, 22, finishing up his first season with Penske. Been a big fall for Joey. Run well, except for the problem they had to start the chase. They've been pretty solid. Had a bad race at Charlotte also. But Logano really seems to have come into his own this year.
I think it's been a huge year for Joey Logano and this race team. The amount of confidence that they have to have after what they've shown and proven they can win, run with the very best at times. Now they have to bottle all of that and make it to where they can do that for 10 races next year.
Yeah, I think Joey Logano's made a huge step in his career this year upward. I think you're going to see him contend and be in these chase contentions year after year.
Fending off Clint Boyer for that 10th spot, Jamie.
Well, Alan, we always hear a lot of talk about chemistry, and you talked to Todd Gordon, a crew chief for Joey Logano, and he says Joey came over to this team and he just fit. We have such a great chemistry together. Our entire team, Joey's in the shop week after week, day after day. He knows what goes on in the shop. He works hard. He wants to be here, and it's shown this year as the 15 ducks to the inside. But the 22, meanwhile, his car today has taken a big swing. Started off tight. Now he's just loose, saying it's pretty much junk at this point.
Talked about Joey's car taking a big swing. Talked about his career taking a big step. He took another big leap. He got engaged. Said they met when he drove the Zamboni at the ice rink and she sold the French fries. But Joey engaged to be married. No further plans on that announcement. It was kind of fun listening to him talk about it in a press conference the other day. Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson running 1 and 2. Jimmy talked about struggling with his visibility, finding his pit box a minute ago. Adjustments being made.
Maybe a little neon tape around the edges will help.
Yeah, the windshields get pitted here. Sand on the track and these tear-offs that they have. It gets really bad, and it's for the next little while until the sun does go down. Then that's going to be an issue as they try to approach their pit box.
Sunset 5:32 local time, hour and 15 minutes or so from now. Can anyone stop Jimmy Johnson from taking home the championship trophy today? Matt Kenseth is going to be the one to try and stop him. Stay tuned for our NASCAR nonstop coverage during the second half of today's race, presented by Goodyear. Matt Kenseth from Wisconsin. Such a likable guy, and what a great racer. From the time he became known to most of us, he was winning races as a teenager out in Wisconsin on the tough local stock car circuit there. Came up through the ranks of NASCAR, a champion once already, and hoping circumstances fall in his favor to be a champion for a second time today. Kenseth leading, new second place driver. Kyle Busch has just passed Jimmy Johnson for the runner-up spot. Let's give you unlimited access to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with NASCAR Mobile 13 and unlimited talk, text, and data on the Sprint Network. That's done a lot of the leading today, almost all of it, as a matter of fact. 79 out of 88 for Kenseth out front. Get unlimited access to the NASCAR Mobile 13 app with the unlimited My Way plan, guaranteed for life and only from Sprint. See sprint.com/speed for details. Matt's got company. Kyle Busch is closing quickly. Trouble turn 2. Got a car spun around. Dave Blaney. Fourth yellow flag of the race. Blaney running a lap down in 33rd place at the time. Maybe a flat tire, if not before the crash, since. Got that hood rattling around, huh?
Yeah, has one now for sure.
Close call.
David Gilliland Nice avoidance.
Happening not too far in front of the leaders.
So another one of those interesting calls for the crew chief here. They were just in at lap 69. So about 18 laps of green flag racing on this set of tires.
Yeah, well, we've seen a lot of guys try those two tires. I haven't seen it work so far.
I don't think it's especially for the guys up front, I think it's a no-brainer. Somebody back that thinks they just need some track position and may be able to hang on might take that opportunity. They're going to pay the price if we get a long green run.
Here they come again, Dave.
Jimmy was told that some neon yellow tape was put around his sign and to be aware of that, to look for it. He hits his marks perfectly. He said he'd like more of the same that they gave him last time. The car is pretty good. Doc?
They told Dale Jr. your lap times are good. He said, if you'll tighten this thing up, I'll show you some lap times. That's what they're going to do on the 88. 18 car, free in, free out. Started to get a little bit free on exit corner. Big problem. Jamie.
Matt Kenseth said he took off a little bit better that time. Still a little loose. They made a track bar adjustment last time. There it is once again. Another 4-tire stop for the 20, who said he's going to start running a little bit higher to help with that loose condition.
To check that Kyle Larson and see if he just missed his pit stall or if they in fact went for fuel only there.
Yeah, it looks like when it says no tires, that's usually a mistake, maybe. Missing his pit stall.
That was close. But Kenseth will hang on to the lead.
It is an absolutely picture-perfect day in South Florida. Shot of Biscayne Bay, not too far from there. About 45 minutes south, that's where you'll find the Homestead Miami Speedway, where the 2013 NASCAR season is set to conclude. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Quicken Loans ESPN Pit Studio. We are closing in on the 100-lap mark here in the season finale. What have you guys seen so far?
Mike, right now, everybody's just logging laps out there. Really impressed how Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson are so strong. I just walked out the ESPN Pit Studio right now. It's still a little hot, but it's very muggy. This track is going to change when it gets dark, though.
Yeah, tire management is so important, so critical right now. So many guys struggling with the balance of their race cars. Jimmy and Matt are very, very good. Everyone else is really trying to catch up.
The guys that are struggling, good news is a lot of pit stops, yellows, getting them a chance to work on it, closing the field back up.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth has a lot of work to do to close the gap on Jimmy Johnson in the standings. He's doing everything he can so far today, but Jimmy Johnson's pretty good too, Alan.
Johnson right behind Kenseth for the restart. Kyle Busch to Matt's inside. Big drive off the high side. Kenseth holds the lead.
His car's so good through the middle of the corner.
Yeah, and you just have to go to that bottom. You've got to get out of the gas a little bit sooner to get yourself turned, and you can see Matt take a big advantage of that. How about Denny Hamlin and his team making a recovery from being left out there the first time whenever we had that caution?
Yep. Fell all the way back to 19th, now running third. And it looked like Jimmy Johnson had a little trouble getting going on that restart and left a little gap up there. Now he's fallen back into fourth.
It's got all the Gibbs cars, 1, 2, 3.
Watch that 48.
A little spin on the tires.
That happens, and I'll bet you're just waiting for that bump from behind and what comes with it.
Yeah, he got a little bump from Paul Menard. I think it's more helpful, though, than hurtful.
Yeah, Paul did a nice job of being able to see that and understanding the situation and staying off of Jimmy there.
Updates, Juan Pablo Montoya. Remember I told you he was on the pit road when the caution came out. He took a wave around the last yellow to get back on the lead lap, so he's in the cycle of things. Kyle Larson did in fact miss his pit stall, came back around and pitted. He's lead lap 24th. And earlier when A.J. Allmendinger went behind the wall was a broken shock mount. Vince reports up for the pit lane. Allmendinger is back on the racetrack. Change for second place. Denny Hamlin just so desperately needing a good result to end this season and to give him something positive for this offseason.
He really is, but he's finding it here today. You know, something like what happened earlier could have made this team, and we've seen it before, where they ran good the first part of the race, found themselves outside the top 10 and never recovered from that. But this has been a nice recovery. Looks like they've got a very fast car.
Had a solid car in the last mile-and-a-half track race we ran. Finished 7th at Texas and was in the hunt for a top 5 finish there. So hoping for good things.
I think what I'm seeing so far is the strength of Kyle Busch and his 18 car is the ability to run right up there against the wall, use that, and that's once the tires get some laps on them, that becomes the fastest way around. And he's been the one willing to kind of risk the most to get that big reward, and it pays off as you have a longer green run.
Never driven a race car right out by the wall like that on a track. Does it sound different? Does it feel different?
Yeah, both. It does give a different sound as you're that close. The other thing, it's a lot of fun as a driver. And to me, it always, you always have a sense, you know, everybody talks about the speed of the cars. Well, that's all relative. You get so used to that it's really hard to tell until something happens how fast you may be going. But when you're against the wall, you have something to judge by all the time. Things that are going by that you just catch out of the corner, gives you a much better idea of just how fast you're traveling around this racetrack.
Harry Gant used to run up next to the wall all the time, really close. And I'd say, how do you know how close you are? He said, I can smell it. I never got that, but that's what he said. I guess that's when the walls were concrete. Maybe you could smell it.
Pretty good little fight for second place here.
Yeah, it really is. A great battle there. See, Jimmy Johnson still trying to make that bottom side work. Is working for him very well. You can see a lot of shade now down in turns 1 and 2. That's already starting to give them some more grip.
Oh, look at that run.
Can't tell you how many people I've talked to through the weekend at this racetrack that have talked about, as the years have aged the pavement here, since they put this progressively banked configuration down in 2003. 18 degrees in the bottom lane, 19 degrees middle lane, 20 degrees right by the wall. How much fun it is for the racers to drive and for us to watch the racing here.
Yeah, every driver that I talked to just talked about, you know, it's that banking, the seasoning of the banking, of the asphalt, but more talk about the asphalt itself, that it's just a different aggregate that you get here. Sandy places, Darlington, places like that, where it just changes and it puts it in the driver's hands. And that's what these drivers want, you know. They appreciate efforts that are being made at other racetracks to make the racing better and help them. But they really like this, to where it makes a difference as to what they can and can't do.
Yeah, I talked to Greg Biffle yesterday in the garage area about what a great racetrack it is and all that. He said, but wow, I mean, it has no grip. He said, yeah, just a little bit more, he would like it better.
Drivers are never satisfied.
No.
Jeff Gordon picking up a spot. 7th place, taking it away from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Still a nice drive for Jr. in the opening laps of this race. Started 21st. He's up in the top 10.
Has been very solid, as has Gordon throughout this race. Both being very solid.
Yeah, Jeff started back in 26th.
See Jr. have a little bit of a wiggle there. I think we've heard a little radio conversation from him that he's not totally happy with this race car yet.
Tighter on entry and way looser in the middle.
So Dale Jr. they're running in 8th. While he and Jeff Gordon have been moving forward, Kevin Harvick is sliding back and back and back. He's all the way back to 23rd, maybe going to lose 24th and 25th here. Vince Welch is in Harvick's pit. What's up, Vince?
Boy, they are really having all kind of problems. Kevin says it is so tight getting into the corners. He said, literally, I cannot drive it. I cannot possibly run the top. The adjustments that Gil Martin has made, his crew chief there on the left side of the screen, just have not worked. Kevin says the front is bouncing so hard, it's so bad it's hard for him to see out the front of the window. He said, we definitely have a problem. He'd like to come in and pit. They'd like to hang him out there or keep him out there for a while longer. But as you see, he just continues to slip back.
Bouncing. Maybe something gave up.
Yeah,
broke,
could be one
suspension.
of the bump stops have given up some. They could be bouncing the splitter off the racetrack. A lot of things can cause that.
Well, just joining us, we are a little past 150 miles into the Ford EcoBoost 400 championship story. Jimmy Johnson running in 4th place, racing Kyle Busch for 3rd. A very solid drive so far for the 5-time champ, looking for a 6th. Matt Kenseth, who hopes to find a way to wrestle that championship away, dominating the race, leading all but 9 of the laps that have been run so far. But Johnson is close enough behind and in command at the moment. The beautiful Homestead Miami Speedway in South Florida on an 81-degree November afternoon, where the final race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is unfolding and being led and dominated by Wisconsin's Matt Kenseth. Moment to remind you about NBA Wednesday and our primetime doubleheader. First tip at 7 Eastern when Paul George and the Red Hot Pacers will face Carmelo Anthony in the kind of slow starting this season Knicks. Then at 9:30, a battle of Texas. Dwight Howard and the Rockets in Dallas to face Dirk and the Mavs. It's NBA Wednesday, presented by State Farm on ESPN and also live on Watch ESPN. Dirk and the Mavs were down here in South Florida playing LeBron and the Heat on Friday night. Great tussle that one was. And a great tussle here between Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson. Unfortunately for Matt, Jimmy running really well, though it's very early in this race still. There is the fight for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Johnson running in 4th position while Kenseth runs in the lead. Jimmy really solid in this race. While 2 of the 3 championship players are running really well, Kevin Harvick continuing to really struggle. He's fallen all the way back to be the last car on the lead lap, and is going to have to pit here. Now look at that sun glare. Kevin trying to shield his eyes and find that pit stall, Vince.
Yeah, they have got all kind of problems. Kevin says it feels like he's popping a wheelie when he comes off the corners. They put a packer in the right front the last pit stop, but other than that, just air pressure change. So they're confused as to why Kevin feels like it got 500 times tighter. Those were his words. So air pressure adjustment and 4 fresh ones for Kevin Harvick. We'll see if it makes it any better. They're going to take a good look at those tires.
Well, he was about a lap down when he made the pit stop. And Matt Kenseth is going to come off of turn 2 just as Kevin is going to come up off that access lane off the pit road. As we watch Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch race for 3rd place.
Aren't you a badass? Good job, man. That's awesome right at the bottom. Did a really good job, man. Straight and smooth. Again, the only guys coming are really running the top. Great job.
Little moment there. Kept their race side by side for 3rd going while putting Ken Schrader a lap down.
Yeah, I haven't been impressed with his 48 being able to run the bottom as much as he is. And you can't blame him for not going up there right against the wall now. I think as the night progresses, we may see him do that, but not really probably until he has to.
Well, just listening to the conversation, it sounds like that's the plan for this team all along, is don't risk the car up in the high lane to try to go after that 10th or 2. We're going to make this car work on the bottom, and Jimmy is doing a good job of making it work. I wondered if we get into a long run, if that might actually overwork his tires a little more, but so far so good.
Denny Hamlin really reeling in Matt Kenseth for the race lead. Matt had a huge advantage about 10 laps ago. Interesting how on one of these tracks where the speed fall off on tires is so prevalent that a car can run and run and run, and then kind of that switch gets flipped. Remember, we heard Matt talk just before the race in our interview with him about how he felt like they had a good car for the short runs, and if they could make it better on the long runs, he thought they had something for him.
Yeah, it's we talk about this track. It reminds me a lot of Darlington in the older days, to where as a driver, we talked about the risk reward. Yeah, you can run right up against the wall and you can make speed there, but it's also about managing your tires too. You can go out there and run those fast laps and have that car really, really good. We saw Matt stretch out a big lead, but sometimes you can just kind of wear them out, and then you're going to pay the price at the end of a longer run. Jamie, this car's fast, but is it going to be able to hang on, or they got to make some more adjustments to him?
Well, he knows this car's fast. It's proven. It has 4 wins under its belt this year already, so he was very confident, and they brought it here with a lot of adjustability built in, and it's working for him. The last stop, they made a wedge adjustment and track bar adjustment to help the rear grip, and guess what? It worked. He's very happy with the car, saying it helped, and Jason Ratcliffe joked with him and said, all you have to do is ask for it, we'll help you out. So Matt was trying to run a little bit higher, and that seems to be helping, but they want to be better on the long run, and that's what they're focused on now.
Well, long runs are what a lot of people were expecting. Not a lot of caution flags in this race. In fact, a year ago, this race went through with hardly any yellow flags. Just 3 cautions for 17 laps, and 2 of those 3 were for debris. We've already had 4 cautions in this one today, and 3 of the 4, for contact with the wall.
I think the speeds have increased at this racetrack with this Gen 6 car as far as the overall runs go over what we saw last year, and that's going to create situations for more people to find themselves in trouble.
Scraped up the right side of Juan Pablo Montoya's 42.
Kind of light contact. We saw some cars last night touch about like that. Some of them actually got better after they hit the wall.
And once again, that was down in 3 and 4, what seems to be the real trouble spot of this racetrack.
Montoya 23rd on the lead lap, his final ride in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series for now. Going to the IndyCar Series next year, driving for Roger Penske. Couple of wins for Montoya. One on the road courses in this series. That oval track win just kind of slipped through his fingers on the several occasions he's been in position. In fact, twice this season, he's led a race with 10 laps to go and did not go home with a trophy. Kyle Larson taking over that 42 car next season for Chip Ganassi. Matt Kenseth hasn't had anybody take it over for him in the lead of this race so far. All but 9 laps. That 20 car has been out in front, and his number on top of the scoreboard. That beautiful Florida sun setting in the western sky. Soon the lights will be on, and we will be finishing this race under the lights at Homestead Miami Speedway and crowning a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. Our aerial coverage today provided by Goodyear. Everything we learn making tires that face the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Not an uncommon thing down here in South Florida to see the Goodyear blimp flying up and down the beach. One of them based in Pompano Beach, Florida. Matt Kenseth's lead shrinking. Denny Hamlin we saw closing on Kenseth before, but now look who's into the picture.
Yeah, and you can see there again the different styles there. Matt still continues, even running that higher line, to drive the car in a little further, carry a little more speed to the center. But Denny Hamlin back out early, made a big run off the corner, similar to what Dale Jr.'s doing there, Doc.
Exactly, DJ. Dale Jr. told his guys, if you will tighten me up, I will show you some lap times in this 88 car. So they made an air pressure and a wedge adjustment, put 4 tires on it, and Junior is driving a rocket right now. And Steve Letarte couldn't be smiling anymore, loving what he's seeing. And oh, by the way, Junior says the longer we run, the better we get.
I almost had a moment right there. Hamlin lost a nose of his, had to get out of the gas. Dale Jr. almost got into the back of him. May have touched him a little bit. That risk reward we talk about.
Denny going to the bottom now.
He's giving that wall a lot of room.
That's how quickly this happens. Oh, what a great job by Junior to miss that. Hamlin just couldn't get in the gas because he'd lost the front end of his car there. 88 hadn't lost anything.
Racing for second and right behind the leader, Kenseth, that yellow car.
It's got to be frustrating, Dale. You know, Denny Hamlin had run down Matt Kenseth, trying to work on him for the lead, and all of a sudden here comes Junior passing him.
Yeah, before you can get there.
40 laps since the last pit stops. The window opening up. Ricky Stenhouse was just on and off the pit lane. Casey Mears is going to be on and off the pit lane here. And we'll keep an eye on some of these leaders and see when they begin to head in. How about this drive for Junior? They've been so close to winning so many times this year.
Yeah, when I watched these races before over the weekend, I thought about Dale Jr. because he loves to run this high line. I love to watch the way that he goes about it, too. He doesn't overdrive the car into the corner, gets his set, and then drives it around the corner with the throttle, which creates a lot of speed as he exits this corner and goes down the straightaway.
The race at Michigan in June, leading. Engine problem. In contention to win, where was it, at Kentucky, leading the race when he hit a piece of a tire that had come off another car. Damaged the front end on his car. Finished second to Jimmy Johnson at Texas just a couple of weeks ago. And now literally on the back bumper of Matt Kenseth for the lead in this one. Look at that, most second places without a win in a single season.
The one thing about this line that you see Junior run, Dale, is got to take a lot of focus. If you just let it down for one split second, you're going to be in the wall.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It only takes that split second of either glancing in the mirror, and you really don't want to be doing that. I mean, you're not really concerned about who's behind you, but just anything that causes you to break that concentration just for a split second, something that you may see up in front of you, somebody get out of shape. The next thing you know that you've let the car roll a little too far, or you've taken your focus away of driving it around the corner, and you find yourself into the wall.
Danica Patrick got the free pass to get back on the lead lap at the last caution.
Well, Matt's lost a lot of speed right here. A chance for Junior to take the lead.
And while they race for the lead on the right side of the screen, pit stops begin. Dave?
Mark Martin gave up the 18th position. His car on this run wasn't bad, but it started well and went to the tight side. They felt like they were overworking the right front tire, so 4 tires and a wedge adjustment for him. Paul Menard, a great run today, was staying in the top 10 for some time, is still in the top 10, gave up 8th position, wedge and air pressure adjustment for a car that's loose off, like it's been most of the day, but it was better on that run. Carl Edwards, on the other hand, not having a great day. 15th position was where he ran this time. He lost spots from where he restarted. The car is free into the corner. It's free off of the corner. More adjustments. Doc?
Trevor Bayne coming in for his routine scheduled stop. Left side tires going on for the 4-tire stop. Slide air pressure change. Trevor Bayne's had a little scrape with the right side wall. Down and away.
While all the pit stops are going on, new leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr., though he's in that bottom lane, maybe he's coming to pit road here. Doc?
Martin Truex said he can't lean on the right rear. He needs grip. They're going to take some air out of the right rear tire, put 4 tires on it. By the way, he's in fuel-saving mode. It was fuel a year ago that cost him a chance at winning the race. Here comes your leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr., down pit road. And as promised, when they tightened him up, he showed them some lap times. Minimal to no adjustment on the car. It's a shocker. I know he's the fastest car on the racetrack. Got to get it good, full of fuel. Got to make sure no mistakes. Lug nuts tight, tires going on. A little delay in the left rear, and he's away in 13-4.
All 3 Joe Gibbs Racing cars running first, second, and third, and all come to the pit road here at the same time. Jimmy Johnson right behind them. .48 hits, Dave.
Was running 5th when they started pitting AB. A track bar adjustment for Jimmy this time. Tight in the center, free off the corner, but he used the qualifier little. So really not a big situation for Jimmy. He gets 4 fresh tires.
Matt Kenseth saying he couldn't hear or see anything. Now he's in the shade. He could see his pit board, no problem. Ford tire stopped once again, saying just a little bit loose, but the car definitely better there. And his teammate Denny Hamlin off as well.
Denny Hamlin's crew is on it today.
Yeah, they got the game on today for sure.
Picked him up a few positions on a couple of stops earlier. Now they're going to get him out ahead of Kenseth.
I wanted to see where Junior might come back out in relation to them, because they kind of brought him in at a bad time. He had to go around a car that was pitted right behind him. I think it was Ken Schrader.
Yep.
Always more difficult to get your timing down in doing that as a driver, but Junior and the crew did a nice job there and came back out in front of the Denny Hamlin and Matt Kenseth both.
So did all that work to get the lead from Matt Kenseth just before the pit stops. One lap after taking the lead, goes in the pits, and you just had to wonder, but it worked out.
I tell you what, the other thing that I thought, I was watching him come to pit road. He really was aggressive getting to pit road, and it brought back to my mind was how he missed pit road at Dover while he had such a good race car. But he managed to get it in and did a great job.
Matt Kenseth has clinched, leading the most laps in this race. That bonus point. But he's running third now, behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Denny Hamlin. Just through a round of green flag pit stops, we go NASCAR nonstop. Today presented by Goodyear.
At Goodyear, we make tires for the world's most demanding drivers. Meticulously crafted to help handle 200-mile-per-hour turns.
You're an idiot. I'm gonna kill you.
Wink.
So, recycler in sports, and you got a solar-powered track.
Got all that.
All right. Got a cool earthy logo?
Check this out.
Too cool. Better.
What a move by Russell Wilson.
Meet the NFL Insider.
Know why with NFL Insiders. Know how with NFL Live. The NFL, weekdays on ESPN. Know better.
Back at the Homestead Miami Speedway, where we're just past halfway in the Ford EcoBoost 400. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is your leader right now, but the big story is the championship. And with our 5-hour Energy Rapid Recap, we'll catch you up on what has transpired so far. Matt Kenseth came into the day second in the standings, 28 points behind Jimmy Johnson. He started on the pole, Ray, and he has left nothing on the table.
That's right, Mike. They're doing everything they can to make up for their miscues last week. He's had a fast car, took the lead right from the start, continued, has led the most laps so far, and kept that car in position.
Yep. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick came into the day third in the standings, 34 points back, but he slipped a little bit, Rusty.
Yeah, Mike, this car is a little bit in trouble. This is a brand new car for Kevin Harvick. No history on the car yet. He's currently 16th. His car is not handling at all. He's due back down pit road at lap 166. That puts him 24 laps before his competitors. He just needs to hope that the darkness comes and gets that car better.
So for the time being, Jimmy Johnson is doing what he has to do. Caution is on the racetrack, however. And right now, and as we talk about Jimmy Johnson here a little bit, Brad, surprised at all at how aggressive he's been today?
Been rock solid all day long, making good calls on pit road, getting him in and off pit road very cleanly, not losing positions. Stout effort today for that 48 car.
And what I'm noticing as we get later in here, we've discussed this before, as the lights come on, the Hendrick cars seem to get stronger and stronger. Yeah. His teammates are moving up through the field. I really expect that 48 car to get faster as the lights come on.
All right, as we mentioned, caution is out. Let's go back upstairs to Alan Bestman.
And Mike, caution for debris on the backstretch, and the yellow flag just in time to really help one of those championship guys you were talking about just then, Kevin Harvick.
It's almost a perfect situation for Harvick. They ran enough laps that everyone should come in to get 4 tires, and he made that early pit stop. Remember, he was down a lap for a while. Back on the lead lap now, he'll be able to get back in sync with him.
All that bouncing and vibrating went away. Never vibrated. It just bounced. Felt like the tires went backwards to me.
I kind of speculated about that earlier, the way he was talking. I've heard that before. And sometimes, you know, you get a little confusion on pit stops. You get the left you know, maybe the front tires swapped, get the left front on the right front, it'll cause that.
That's something you don't share with your driver?
I wouldn't.
Well, if that
maybe after the race.
If it was the case,
if
Gil
it works out.
Gil didn't. Yeah.
He's not going to be there next year anyway. Don't ever have to tell him.
Well, Kevin on the lead lap now because of this caution flag. And everyone going to come to the pit road here at lap 154 of 267. Dale Jr., Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, the top 5. Dave?
5th place was where Jimmy Johnson was running. He said, I'm rolling the bottom better. Chad said, so you kind of liked it a little. He said, yeah. So he'll get another track bar adjustment to keep up with it. A 4-tire change. Doc?
Left lower corner, Dale Earnhardt Jr. said a little bit snug. Just going to top it off with fuel. Vince?
Little snug in the center for Denny Hamlin. They're just going to make a slight air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and pack it full of fuel. Jamie?
Little wobbly loose for Matt Kenseth. He said we're going to be too loose on the long run. There's an adjustment and right sides only, mixing it up a little bit. Who won the race off pit road, Alan?
There it is with the strategy play, Jamie. Getting that first pit stall selection by winning the pole in qualifying. Once again, paying off for Matt Kenseth on a yellow flag stop.
We've seen the 20 team not be afraid to roll the dice, taking 2 tires.
There it is. 20 over 88, barely.
Last Tuesday night was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, wasn't it? Schedule maker's been working hard. Matt Kenseth out in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. after Jr. worked really hard to get by him for the lead a bit ago.
Crazy. If the 88's TJ by, just tell him I was trying to make sure I led the most laps. The only reason I held him up an extra 4 laps. I needed to run 3 more laps up there. Okay, buddy. 10-4. Yeah, he's right here with me.
Well, that did succeed in locking up the bonus point for leading the most laps.
Johnson being really careful on that restart, but it's costing him quite a few positions right here.
I don't blame him because it got awfully close on that front row. Matt Kenseth and Dale Jr. for the race lead last lap in 1 and 2. It got tight.
Well, those cars had 2 tires, and the way to make that work is you have to have clean air on the car. And I think both of them wanted it really bad. Kenseth seems to have a little better car in the short run.
Brad Keselowski trying to fight with Denny Hamlin for 3rd. 2 and 11.
By what people were telling me, I expected to see a lot more of the 2 and the 22 up front. And that may come later on in this race. Looks like Brad's made a pretty good adjustment for his race car here now.
Some busy hands.
Shadows definitely starting to cover more of the racetrack. You know, there's 2 ways to go about adjusting for changing track conditions. Most teams have a pretty good idea of which way the racetrack's going to go, so they're going to hedge their bet in that direction, and that's going to give up a little bit in the beginning of the race. The other way is to build a lot of adjustability in your car, counting on enough pit stops that you can adjust it for the changing conditions.
Really hard to do that with the setups this day and time, though, or harder, should I say, Andy?
Yeah, they have to have a lot of different adjustments than what we used to use because these setups have evolved so much, especially with this Gen 6 car, but they still have a lot available to them.
But Jimmy Johnson lost a little bit of ground on that restart you talked about when some of that craziness might have been unfolding ahead of him. Now that it's settled down, he's showing a little speed.
Yeah, that's a mark of a champion there, realizing the situation. Others got 2 tires. Takes a little more time for the air pressure to build up in the 4 tires that he got to get things going, but he's able to pass him. He knows what kind of car he's got in this situation.
Second place here. Still Keselowski and Hamlin. Behind them, Jeff Gordon just ran up around Dale Jr. to pick up 4th spot. Jr. will try to come back.
Yeah, the thing I'm seeing with Jr.'s car is I believe they wanted to tighten him up, really benefiting him on a longer run. Not so good for him in the short run.
Well, especially he took 2 tires as well, and he didn't get the clean air. That's why they were racing so hard for it. Matt got it, and he's trying to make that work, keeping that lead and helping the speed of his car. But once you lose that clean air with those 2 tires, and guys on 4, they're going to win out every time.
He's not the only one struggling a little bit with just the right side tire change. Kyle Busch has given up some ground since the restart, and his team went for just the fresh right side tires.
Yeah, a lot of times you've got a tight car already. You get 2 tires on it. You'll have a tight car for 8 or 10 laps, and it may start coming to him. You can see he just doesn't feel comfortable with this car to get up where he was running earlier, right against the wall.
There are the 3 whose crew chiefs made the call for just the fresh rights, and perfectly illustrating that point you were talking about the clean air.
Yeah.
The guy that has it held the lead, and the other guys are falling back.
I didn't see enough in the beginning of the race to say that was going to work. I think if it was me, I'd want 4 tires on my car every time.
Joey Logano, Paul Menard there racing for 8th place. While Matt Kenseth has continued to dominate this race. All but 20 laps of that 166, Kenseth has led. Just past 250 miles of the Ford EcoBoost 400 championship deciding race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season. A full recap on the race and the weekend tonight with Chris Cotter and Ricky Craven on NASCAR Now, presented by 5 Hour Energy, 11 Eastern on ESPN2. All of the post-race press conferences, ceremonies, and so on recapped for you with, of course, a visit from whoever winds up being the NASCAR Sprint Cup champ. Right now, Jimmy Johnson is in position to do that, running in 5th, where he's been running about all race, was as high as 2nd for a bit. Though Matt Kenseth has done most of the leading in this one. You saw Denny Hamlin get by Kenseth during NASCAR Nonstop. And Denny starting to put a little distance on the 2nd place car.
Yeah, but I'm still impressed with how good this 20 car is to stay out there with those 2 tires and be as competitive as others have fallen back. But you can see behind Kenseth, Jeff Gordon coming pretty hard in that 3rd spot.
Gordon 3rd, Keselowski 4th, Jimmy Johnson challenging him there for that spot. Dale Jr.'s fallen back to 6th, Kyle Busch back to 7th.
Oh, look at how 2 cars getting out of shape. I'm impressed with that 48, though, how well he runs the bottom. Obviously, they worked on it in practice to make it good down there, but it looks good.
Yeah, it was interesting yesterday to watch them really work on their car in that respect, where everybody else, knowing that a lot of the speed was up against the wall, but they were willing to sacrifice what that may show to get the feel that Jimmy was looking for, to allow him to run this race basically where he wanted to.
I tell you, this 88's starting to come back to life with those 2 tires.
Long run car. Isn't it funny, these rolling science projects that are these race cars, right? Talked about Matt Kenseth being a short run car. Here's Dale Jr., whose car seems to carry its speed or hold its speed better over the course of the long run. And it's always been a mystery to me how that works. You know, and I've talked to a lot of crew chiefs about it for a lot of years, but it's still just kind of a mystery how it ends up working out.
Well, a lot of it is a combination of things. You know, obviously the setup, the shocks, and the spring, all that stuff. But then the other thing is the driver's style. You know, how he likes to drive the car. And we see that Junior's style is somewhat different than others. And he does like running against the wall, and that's easier on the tires. It's just a combination of things that do that. It's not like one magic bullet in the setup.
Yeah, but it's a mystery, and it's kind of funny. And you wind up through the course of practice figuring out, okay, well, that's how our car is going to be, and you kind of have to go with it.
Yeah, you play the hand you're dealt, and hey, this is what we've got. We got a long run car.
Hope the circumstances fall in your favor. Al Jr. closing up on Jimmy Johnson, who's running fourth.
Jimmy, you're doing a great job. Why don't you try to save us just a little bit of fuel if it doesn't hurt our speed too much?
Well, they pitted with, 103 laps to go.
Yeah, that'll give them a little cushion on that. And a lot of teams want to save fuel, not so much just for making it for a window, but also every time they make a pit stop, the car's going to hold less fuel, and that can give them a little advantage. They think they can make it on one more stop, Dave?
You guys are all over that part. I want to go back to when you guys said he knows what kind of a car he has, because when you choose a championship Sunday car, you got to make sure it's one that you trust. Remember when Jimmy lost a race earlier this year at Dover on a restart issue? That was this car's debut, and he found that working his way back through traffic, he could pass a lot of cars. Well, they've raced it 4 times in 8 weeks. It's won twice, and the last time it won, remember that beat down at Texas where he led 3/4 of the race? That was this car. So their comfort level with it is high. Their fuel level is good, and as you said, Chad just looking for a little insurance to the end.
The thing you don't want to hear as a driver is we see this battle for second now with Jeff Gordon has caught Matt Kenseth. But the thing in a guy in a position like Jimmy Johnson, knowing where he has to finish, you don't want to hear that this thing might come to a fuel mileage situation and you be on the wrong end of that, because at this point in time, we still have 25 cars on the lead lap. Running out of fuel could be devastating to your championship hopes.
Kenseth's going to give up a couple here. This would be as low as he's run all race.
2 tires. I think that, it's probably the last time we'll see them do that unless we get something right at the end of the race.
Yes, 2 tires, and the track conditions are changing. This racetrack's going through a transition phase right now.
And I think all we're seeing Jimmy Johnson do right now is take this opportunity, being able to see that 20 car right there, not having his best run, so he can save that fuel that Chad's asking for.
Denny Hamlin's checked out, but a pretty good race for second, third, and fourth here. Jeff Gordon, Dale Jr., Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson.
I really wasn't sure this 88 could come back on those 2 tires as much as he had fallen back, but we saw him earlier when he passed. He went from 8th to 1st in about 25 laps as others started struggling, and he's showing the same thing once again.
And running inches off the wall.
He loves it.
Just makes you hold your breath every time you see it. 86 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson doing what he needs to do. But this is no 23rd or better job. This is top 5 all race long. Johnson looking for that 6th championship ring in another hour and a half or so. Sun setting in the western sky, and the lights are on over the Homestead Miami Speedway. That big transition in track conditions happening right now. And Denny Hamlin seeming to benefit most from it. After Matt Kenseth has dominated this race, Denny Hamlin is now out in front by a full second. We've seen already in this race 5 different caution flags, and our nationwide insurance danger zone shows you that historically most of the cautions in this race have come after the midway point. We'll see if that proves true in this one. Last year we had a very long run to end the race, and Jeff Gordon wound up going the final 53 laps on fuel and making it on one less stop than a bunch of others. And there's the caution flag. Debris in turn 3, and brings us that yellow flag and the 6th one of the day.
Just Denny Hamlin was getting ready to have some company on his back bumper. Dale Jr. are very good on that long run. Had run Denny Hamlin down. Both these drivers looking for that first victory in 2013.
25 cars on the lead lap, and Casey Kane, who had made an unscheduled stop under the green flag at lap 169, we're at 189 now, is going to be the first car lap down, and Casey's going to get the free pass and get back on the lead lap.
Sure, I've been surprised that Casey hasn't been more of a factor.
We mentioned him once earlier. He looked like he was starting to come to the front, and then it just went away. And then the unscheduled stop a bit ago. So pit road open this time by Matt Kenseth back in 4th position, about as low as he's run all race long. And an opportunity for those few that got just the right side tires a little bit ago that it wasn't working well for, like Jason Ratcliffe and Matt, to remedy that.
Yeah, but they managed to all hold on up inside the top 6.
Yeah, you saw the 4 fingers right there.
For sure.
That's not a bunt sign, you're saying?
Nope, that's 4 tires.
All right, Dave.
Nothing fancy down here. 4 tires for Jimmy Johnson, who gives up the 5th place. Little wedge adjustment for him. The car is still a little bit tight in the center of the corner. Doc?
Half round down, 88 cars sit on a little bit snug early in the run. Going to be 4 tires this time for Junior. Vince.
Little snug in the middle for your leader, Denny Hamlin. He's led 25 laps, but no changes. It's just 4 fresh Goodyears at Sunoco Fuel for the 11. Jamie.
Matt Kenseth said, we're not far off here, Jason. Let's just keep working on it. Still a little bit loose off. Another wedge adjustment there. They've done a little bit of everything, and 4 fresh tires for the 20. Loses some track position there.
There you go. Jimmy Johnson, the one that gave up the most, and that's something you were talking about a lot to watch for, DJ, was that 48 giving up a few spots, being cautious on pit road.
Yeah, you just have to be mindful that, if you mistime that jack dropping and you powering up, easy to break something in the drive line there, axle or something like that. You don't want that to happen.
Having that first pit stall helping Matt Kenseth keep from losing much. But Jimmy Johnson's not giving him any help where his championship hopes are concerned today. Jimmy trying to claim the cup again. The Ford EcoBoost 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway, last race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season. And we remind you, you can always go to NASCAR.com for your latest NASCAR information. Coming up on 300 miles, doubled up for the restart. Denny Hamlin leading, Jeff Gordon second, Dale Earnhardt Jr. third.
Man, that's good for everybody right there. That puts us all in a one-stop race. So it's going to turn into a fuel mileage stretch there. I was happy the caution come out. Let's just define, get us all in the same field.
Steve Letarte giving his driver the information on the big picture. And how about Jimmy Johnson? 3/4 of the way through this championship deciding race. We talked about the emotions and the thoughts a couple times today. Where's he at now?
Well, you've got a lot behind you, but there's still a lot of racing ahead of you. You have to continue to do the job. Cannot lose focus.
And this is going to be the most anxious part of the race for the crew chief and the crew.
Wow, big scramble.
Johnson's in the middle of it.
In the middle of that.
In and out. Hold your line.
Kind of damage might he have gotten in that. Could be a flat tire.
Little smoke showing there. Is it from the 48?
Yeah, he's got some damage on the left front fender.
Get my left front fender, please.
You can see the tire, too.
You're good, man. You're good.
Just like that, 8th to 23rd.
Saw some smoke earlier. I don't see quite as much as we saw. I think you might see a little hazy smoke. And right there makes me nervous, though.
Yeah, you still can't feel comfortable, Andy, knowing that's there. And I know as a driver you don't. You can't see. You have no idea.
I'm sure they're looking at our pictures to see this, but that right there really makes me nervous. Because that tire goes down. We saw Jeff Gordon have a problem with the left front tire. I believe it was at Texas where he hit the wall really hard.
The restart with 74 laps to go. Looked like Jeff Gordon couldn't get going, and it just accordioned behind him.
Yep.
Yeah, they were just about involved in it also. Actually, they were involved. They just didn't get the kind of damage that Jimmy did.
So Matt Kenseth back in 11th place. Who's that up against the wall?
Like
Kyle Larson, yeah.
Kyle Larson's run a great race, but he's been flirting with that wall every lap.
Hey, this is the nervous part of the race for that 48 because there's a risk to making a pit stop, obviously. Going to go down a lap. There's a risk for staying out, too.
Yeah, and I can tell you, Jimmy Johnson's filling this thing out. He's still making a few passes, but he's in a bad spot, a position he hasn't been in all day. And he really doesn't know what has happened with this race car there.
Matt Kenseth running 9th. Jimmy Johnson, after falling to 23rd, is 21st and trying to climb, Dave.
And the spotter's role has changed. Earl Barvin now having to look at things and see things and tell Jimmy things that he wasn't telling him before, such as when Kyle Larson got into the wall, that all happened right in front of him. So he had to say, keep an eye on him. And you can see Jimmy going again to the safer low side to try to protect what he's got.
You know, the one thing that Jimmy has on his side right now, and I'm sure they've relayed this information to him, you can see Kevin Harvick right in front of him, and Matt Kenseth had his issues on that restart. He's in 9th right now, so it's not as critical. But the critical thing is how much damage has that done? And is there a possibility that it's going to cut that left front tire down?
Dale Jr. fending off Brad Keselowski for 2nd place, while Denny Hamlin leads. And leads by a bunch. Hamlin getting away when everybody else had trouble on that restart. It's almost 2 seconds for Denny.
Yeah, I tell you what, we've seen Denny lead some at the beginning of some races, but really the first time since his injury that we've seen him in the second half of a race have a car this good and be able to handle all the situations. Really happy for Denny Hamlin and his race team.
Well, we just talked about the emotions and where Jimmy Johnson might be at under that helmet 3/4 of the way through the race, and then the whole thing changed around a little bit on him. Oh. And hang on.
Not quite clear right there either. And remember, he and Biffle had a little issue back at Martinsville.
Yep.
He didn't cut him any slack right there.
Going to give in to him.
And he's still not quite clear enough to pull up there. You can see the run that Biffle gets. Not the situation that Jimmy wants to be in, even though he's the 3-wide part of it on the bottom of the racetrack. You just don't want yourself in that type of position here.
And this is a race for 16th place.
And he just can't get away from it. See Kyle Larson going to come join the fun now. I think Jimmy's got him cleared right here.
So Dave mentioned on his pit report when Kyle Larson got into the wall. This is a couple of laps after that, and whoa. You're not clear.
No. And even though Kyle Larson's done a great job here today and will do a good job as he moves on into the Sprint Cup Series starting next year, Jimmy getting himself back in around people that hasn't been around racing all year. You just don't know what to expect, and you don't want to have to put yourself in that position. But that could have been even more of a disaster. And I still caution, even though we don't see smoke from that, that doesn't always mean that you could have an edge there that might be rubbing that tire, just not creating any smoke. But looks like everything's fine. Pretty fast still.
Yeah, it's good. And that's the thing. I'm just looking at the lap times. That damage you see on the left front fender hasn't really hurt the speed of the car. I think the only thing to really worry about now is, like you said, is that tire rubbing.
Rub the lettering off the sidewall of it. But Jimmy Johnson has picked up 6 spots in the last 10 laps after that big jam on the restart with 74 to go. Matt Kenseth running in 8th. Jimmy Johnson running in 16th, still in control of this championship, while the top two involved trying to assess damage and figure out how bad it might be. Trouble for Paul Menard. And the caution flag is out.
Like he's got a right rear tire, maybe?
It looks like the right rear might be flat.
Let's get now, get tires on it.
Like he got hit from
Keep you posted.
He was actually involved in that jam up on that restart. I'm not sure if that didn't come from that.
Right rear quarter panel is KO'd, guys, okay? It's the right rear.
Paul running 10th at the time.
Yeah, right here's Paul Menard. Nobody really around him. Got a problem, though. There, that's when the tire let go.
Yeah, he could feel that even down the straightaway that something was happening.
Jimmy Johnson was right around him.
Yeah.
Saw that car start to smoke right in front of him. Had to move to the right to miss it.
It's a break for Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson. They can get some of that damage repaired.
Get an eyeball on those cars for more than photos. $60 laps to go. Dave?
Camwa and RJ Barnett go from just tire changer and carrier to fixing the right front on Jimmy Johnson, actually the left front on Jimmy Johnson's car. After they finish the right front, they'll come around. They'll do a couple of pulls there just to make sure they've got it cleared. Jamie?
And Matt Kenseth still talking about that restart, saying, guys, I don't know if I even touched him, but we were all sideways, so just check and make sure I don't have any damage. They're going down on the track bar there. Another 4-tire stop here. Matt's saying this 20 car's a little loose, but we're not bad.
Kevin Harvick first off the pit lane. Suspect a little strategy play was just made by Gil Martin to regain some track position. Getting down to it. In the Ford EcoBoost 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway, what started out as a beautiful sunny afternoon, now with the lights on and a big scramble. And a heart-in-mouth moment for the two drivers, the top two in the championship standings, as a shuffle on that last restart saw Jimmy Johnson collide with Matt Kenseth, damaging the left front and right rear of their cars, respectively. Jimmy is in 17th. Kenseth is in 5th. And Kevin Harvick, after having to make a short pit green flag stop earlier and getting a caution flag to get him back in sync, now, through a strategy play by his crew chief, is the race leader.
Trying anything, you know, this is a team that has nothing whatsoever to lose. They're just going to give everything they can, take all the gambles, see what happens.
Two-tire call for Gil Martin on this last set of pit stops to put Harvick into the race lead. There are the championship standings. And remember, should something happen to Johnson, it's not Kenseth, it's Kenseth and Harvick racing for that spot. Well, they've had a chance to eyeball it up close, Dave. What's the report on the 48?
There is the left front tire that came off of Jimmy Johnson's car. It has a bit of a shine around the edge there, but no damage, ripping, just taking the Goodyear Eagle logo off. And they really dodged a bullet, though, because it could have been a whole lot worse. And in the credit where credit is due category, it was actually Brandon Hutter, the fuel man, who first came and pulled out the fender and then went to fueling the car at the rear of the car. So good teamwork by the 48 bunch to get him back out there. But, man, this is a close one.
Well, there's always one moment in these races that gets your attention, and that was it for Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. Let's give you unlimited access to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with NASCAR Mobile 13 and unlimited talk, text, and data on the Sprint Network. Matt Kenseth has by far led the most laps today. He has been out in front for 144 of 210, one of 7 different drivers that have traded the lead 16 times. Find out more with unlimited access to the NASCAR Mobile 13 app and the unlimited My Way plan. Guaranteed for life and only from Sprint. See sprint.com/speed for details.
Shorter. We've got to be 10 short at least, aren't we, or not? Four laps. Okay.
Well, that gives you an idea about the fuel range of these cars, at least the 20 car.
The question is, can anybody make it from here to the finish on fuel? The answer is probably not.
Well, maybe.
That's a lot to save.
It is a lot, but you couldn't run full speed and make it on that.
Alan, I will have to go back to what you just said. There's always that one moment. That's what Jimmy Johnson's hoping there was just one
Just the
moment.
one, yeah.
He's back.
Oh,
Could be
wow.
more. Look at this battle up front. Keselowski's ready to go.
Oh, Truex with his hands full, too, underneath Dale Jr. Beer battle up front. Harvick holding off Keselowski for now. Hamlin not willing to give it up.
Tell you what, after Harvick had his issues, I didn't think we'd see him back up front tonight for a lot of different reasons.
And you talked earlier about the importance when you make the two-tire call of keeping the clean air. Kevin's fighting hard to keep it.
If there's any way he can hold on to it, he's going to try. Keselowski drives it in really deep into turn 3. Harvick able to pick up the gas. Nah, he's not going to be able to stay up there, though.
I've seen with the two cars, as the sun's gone down, they seem to really have picked up quite a bit of speed with this car. Now have they made it to where it's going to be pretty good on a long run, which they're probably going to see here.
And if that's the case, I think that 88 car looks good to me. He's been the best car in the long run. We'll see how it works in this changing track conditions.
Matt Kenseth with a look to the inside of Dale Jr. for the 4th spot. Whoa, Kyle Busch hanging on to that 18. Has a big wiggle.
Yeah, you get a car on the outside of you like that. Takes a lot of aero away from your car, and he's been complaining about his car quite a bit today.
That is for position. Trevor Bayne up to the 11th spot. Kyle all the way back to 12th, about as deep as we've seen him all race long. So Junior got by Harvick for 3rd. Harvick fighting with Kenseth and Gordon for 4th and 5th. Nice run there. And I'll say this about the call by Gil Martin. They were in 18th place.
Yeah.
So if the next caution or next pit stop comes about and they're anywhere ahead of 18th, it worked.
Well, and the thing is 18th doesn't get them anything, 16th, nothing gets them. They need to win.
Yeah.
That's all they want to do is try to win. They're willing to do anything, gamble anything. It wasn't a bad gamble. They were able to keep that clean air for a little while.
Yeah, I'm not a crew chief, and I think I could have made that one, at least, put yourself in a position and see what may happen.
So close to that wall. So Harvick sliding back down to the 6th position after leading on the restart and trying to hold off Joey Logano for that spot. Brad Keselowski, the race leader. Jimmy Johnson running in 13th and in championship position. You know, I'm so appreciative of the sponsors that work with us on our NASCAR Nonstop coverage, because you didn't miss a second of that. How about that? As Hamlin and Keselowski raced hard-nosed for the lead, and Junior got by them both.
He put a move on them.
Yeah, that was spectacular. That's just being patient, knowing what your car will do, as the other two were worried about each other here.
I'll leave him just enough room to squeeze by that outside.
Yeah, you can see Hamlin got a little bit loose. Brad could kind of see that and wasn't able to get back to the throttle, and the 88 had a huge run. Watch this.
Careful, they might wreck here. Careful.
That's what I thought, too. Yeah.
All right, inside the two, door, bumper.
These two are still at it.
Yeah, Junior's driven off, but they're still not willing to give an inch to each other here for second place. That's fun racing. Maybe making one or the both of them angry behind the wheel, I don't know, but that's sure fun racing to watch.
Yeah, it really is. Why the drivers love this place. Just gives them the chance to really race, and that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. Settles down for now. And by the way, in that whole thing, really interesting when Denny lost the front end of his car there, how Brad moved up and gave him room, but saw Junior coming and quickly got out of his way, too. That was a good piece of driving, too.
Yeah, it sure was.
Vince is busy updating both of these cars for us, huh?
Well, the 11 of Denny Hamlin, it's been a very solid day for Hamlin and crew chief Darian Grubb. They fought a little bit snug center throughout much of the day. Now that the sun has gone down, the track's starting to cool. It's been a little bit loose, but still very fast. Now, keep in mind, Denny has won a race in 7 straight seasons. This is his last chance to keep that streak alive if he could happen to get it done today. And also, let me give you a shot of Spider Gillen, the car chief on Denny Hamlin's car. For 20 straight years, he's been on the road for Joe Gibbs Racing. This is his last race with the 11 car on the road. Spider Gillen, the car chief on the 11, going to take a management job in the shop. Well, that guy's done a lot of good work for this team. Alan?
Sure has, Vince. Called Spider, named Chris. Great guy, and about time to come off the road a little bit. Spend some time at home.
Andy, I'm sure you've worked around him, but I've seen him in that garage area, and I don't know if there's ever been anybody working any harder. There's a lot of hard-working people in there, but he's done a tremendous job.
They're going to miss him. He is a hard worker. He's been there, like I said, a long, long time. But it's a hard grind for those guys to do it so many years. It's a very difficult job to spend a lot of time away from home.
It's on fire pretty good.
So Denny.
Right rear's on fire pretty good here.
Yep, that's a problem. Paul Menard.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird look. I don't know what he's got going on, but it's not good.
Wow, look at that.
A lot of debris. Yeah, it's definitely bringing a caution out.
Chunks of metal.
Yeah, it's burning pretty good, guys. Be ready here. I think that rubber's on fire underneath. Grab his fire extinguisher crew to go over with him. Grab his fire extinguisher crew to go over with him.
I can't believe the caution hasn't come out for that.
Oh, whoa,
baby.
Whoa.
That tire just blew out.
Everybody's okay. All right, you dumbasses, come on.
Caution has come out.
The explosion you heard was a tire blowing out.
Push this thing, get tires on it, put it behind the wall, okay? Put tires on it, get it behind the wall. We're done. Just put tires on it. When we're done, we'll go behind the wall. We're done.
Still smoldering.
Don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like that.
No.
Tire blew out, Richard. That's what the pop was. What was? The tire? That blew the whole wheel off the car. Everybody's fine. Everybody's fine. Thank you.
Scary moment for Paul Menard and the Richard Childress Racing team.
See, this fire really does flare up. Oh my goodness, what an explosion.
Yeah, just fortunate that no one was.
Yeah,
they were standing there right at it.
Wow, that's scary. right rear. These guys are really lucky.
And all the safety equipment that the crew members wear, and there you see Paul Menard walking around the car in the lighter colored suit to have a look at the damage. Pit road closed, and what a mess here that has us under caution. But thankfully, you heard the radio repeated several times by Crew Chief Slugger Labbe, everybody's okay. And you see the driver out of the race car.
Yeah, it's just really kind of crazy what was going on. This doesn't, I mean, it looks like it could be some metal, pieces of maybe the rubber that's burning.
Yeah, I really thought we'd see the caution flag well before we got to the point of what was happening in there, because there's a lot of stuff on the racetrack. I think they're probably going to have to blow that back straightaway off.
This could be rear end grease coming out of the axle, maybe from that damage that he had in that stack up. But then all of a sudden, this is what really erupted. Goodness. What's crazy about it, it looked like it blew the wheel and all. The metal part of the wheel, the whole assembly blew off that race car.
That's what's so amazing, that no one was injured in that. Just thank goodness.
Yeah, the crew member that went down there with the fire extinguisher to try and put it out had the fire-resistant suit on and the helmet, and might even, I think I saw that he was wearing a full-face helmet too. It was probably one of the fuelers or the fueling people on the car, and that was a good thing too, because wow, Dave, what a mess.
Big mess down here. Paul Menard, thankfully, is out of the car. What led to that, Paul? Do you know?
That's pretty wild. First off, the Menard's mowing Chevy was
having a great day.
It was really good all night, and I don't know what happened on the restart. Everybody kind of checked up, and we got some right rear damage, and it had a flat tire, and just a bunch of rubber got wrapped up underneath around the axle, I guess. And we pit a couple of times to try to fix the damage, try to get the rubber off, and we couldn't get it all. I guess it just caught fire. I didn't really know it until there's a little bit of spark coming in the car and landed on the window net. I thought that's kind of weird. And about a lap later, it said you're on fire. I lost my brakes, and then I guess damn wheel blew right off.
Glad you and the rest of the crew are okay. Paul Menard out of the race tonight. AB?
Yeah, it makes a little sense. That tire that was flat earlier must have wrapped, part of it may have wrapped up around the axle, and it finally did catch fire. And I guess that's where all of that was coming from. But wow, what a result.
Well, bizarre incident and a scary one, but again, the good news, everyone is okay. You just heard from the driver, and the report repeated by Crew Chief Slugger Labbe that all the crew members are okay. And the sequence, one thing leading to the other. You heard Paul talking about it back at the restart, where Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth both got damaged.
It all started up front with Jeff Gordon, and then everybody stacks up. You see Joey Logano got into the back, just that left rear corner of the 27 of Paul Menard. And he ran quite a few laps after this, and that's when that tire blew out.
The damage from that leading to the flat tire, the pit stop, back on the racetrack, and then, as Paul described.
I thought I'd seen it all till then. Never seen that before.
So NASCAR working to clean up the pit lane. And then the pit lane will be open, and what'll be a really crucial round of pit stops coming up as the laps remaining in this race running out. Very scary, but fortunately everybody okay. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Goodyear. Big, crucial set of pit stops here. Dave?
Jimmy Johnson gives up 10th for 4 tires. He may move further back with the leapfrog strategies of 2, but he said, I'd rather get you this way, said Chad. Jamie?
Matt Kenseth not gambling here, saying he's a little bit loose, but overall pretty good. They're going with the 4-tire stop here for the 20.
See one looking like they're taking 2 tires, and that would be Kurt Busch's team.
Yeah, they had played the play of coming in for fuel before the last restart and try to make it all the way without making a stop. So that time they had to try to gamble on track position.
23rd to 3rd. if it works out, that's pretty good track position to gain. Denny Hamlin and Dale Jr. hang on to the top 2 spots. Hamlin now the leader, though. Down to the final 30 laps of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season. The finale playing out in beautiful South Florida, just to the south of downtown Miami, where the sun has set. The beautiful pastel lights are on, and the bright racing lights are on at the Homestead Miami Speedway. And we still don't know for sure how this one's going to turn out. Just joining us, our McDonald's race rundown to catch you up on how the day has gone. Matt Kenseth started on the pole and has dominated the time spent out in front.
He knew there was a bonus point up for grabs, and he wanted to make no mistake about who was going to get that for leading the most laps.
But while Matt was leading, Jimmy Johnson was running in the top 5, in fact, as high as second most of the race. Then, with 74 laps to go, this restart.
This was the hard stopper for the 48 team. Got some damage on the race car.
And actually hit the 20 in the jam up. But both got away with it okay. Now we're wrapping up caution for this scary moment just moments ago when Paul Menard's car on fire, and watch. The tire on the car explodes with that fire burning around it. Everyone okay, driver and all crew members. And we're set for the restart that's going to come with 28 laps to go. Championship, Kenseth runs 4th. Johnson runs 12th. Kevin Harvick runs 13th. Denny Hamlin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. are 1st and 2nd. Hamlin's crew getting him the lead on the pit stops. He's the control car for the restart. 28 laps left in the season. Dale Jr. gets the lead, and still those scary moments when that 3 and 4 wide traffic ahead of Jimmy Johnson fans out. He's not in the clear by any means.
Right in the middle of it.
Really had to restart in the position that he did not want to be in. He's been way more comfortable running on the bottom of the racetrack. He's been able to clear a couple of cars here, get himself back to the bottom. You says that anything from over, there's still way too many cars on the lead lap. If just anything, doesn't have to be a mechanical failure, a flat tire or getting into the wall, getting back to the end of the lead lap cars, and you could lose a championship.
Jeff Gordon, 24. Joey Logano, 22. Kyle Busch, 18. That's for 8th, 9th, and 10th. With Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson just behind them. After leading so much of this race, Matt Kenseth got shuffled back into the pack a little bit by a strategy call by his team. But now his car appears to be as fast as it was earlier in the race, and Kenseth is closing quickly on the front two. You're watching this, though. Still pretty interesting racing back here.
And Matt has to do everything he can to try to win this race, just because Jimmy's back in the pack. If something were to happen, he needs to make sure he's got as many points as he can here. He's going to give it all.
Yeah, you wouldn't want something to happen and then you not do the job and take advantage of that by getting maximum points here today. Car not quite as good since the sun has gone down. I think that's what we've seen, where we really saw a lot of speed with them when they had fresh tires on during the day. I think not quite as much.
I think there's one other thing in play, though. I think that damage on that right rear corner of that 20 car has hurt him a little bit more than what we saw the damage on Jimmy's car on the left front.
Look at Denny Hamlin run through the center of that corner, slides up in front of Dale Jr. for the race lead.
Well, we've known that Junior's car has been the best on the long runs today. Hamlin trying to take advantage of a faster car here right now. Knows he needs to get out front. Most of these drivers, speaking of Dale Jr. and Denny Hamlin, haven't won this year. Looking to end their season on a great note.
Jimmy Johnson running in 10th place. Matt Kenseth running 3rd. Jimmy fighting with Jeff Gordon for the 10th spot and 9th spot.
Yeah, and the one thing Jimmy Johnson's just hoping for right now is no more cautions. Let's run this to the end.
Yeah, he's in a good spot right now. He's sitting in the top 10. He's running right behind his teammate. He can kind of pick and choose his times to pass if he's got a faster car. Or he can just ride where he is. Matt can't ride. He's got to go.
Still got probably a few more laps before this 88 car has really kind of been coming alive in what we've seen throughout the day.
Kenseth sails it in. Can he slide up in front? To second. Jimmy Johnson going to pick up 2 of them off the corner. Jeff Gordon and maybe Kyle Busch too.
Yeah, this 48 car.
Or maybe not on either one of them.
Yeah, but it really has been solid.
Yeah.
Really, really good all day. They worked hard on the car yesterday in the practice session. Got it where Jimmy felt like he had something that he could deal with all day. And even when they slipped back, he's been able to make passes under green condition. Just a solid effort by the team.
Good look at your top 10, 15 here.
Yeah,
been a very interesting race, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been great. You know, we've seen different people be up there here. Kenseth trying to get back up and take the lead away just to be in that position. See Clint Boyer back in 6th. He's made his way up into the top 10 here over the last 80 or 90 laps.
And a good look at that race for the lead from our aerial coverage. Today provided by Goodyear. Everything we learn making tires that face the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
Starting to see what's happening here. See that 88 getting back to the gas and coming back to them.
Well, they're hoping this race goes all the way green because they will have a car in this long run. I think it's going to be the best.
Yeah, that thing's just spectacular. It just doesn't wear the tires like the other, and then it's the job that Junior's doing driving it, saving the tires, and it really just looks like that they find another gear here after about 15, 16 laps.
Five times he's finished second this season. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Last win, June 2012. He's run so well in this chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, if not for the failure that set him back in the opener at Chicagoland. We might be talking about Dale Jr. in this championship fight. Now we're talking about when's he going to win again. Could be tonight.
Yeah, could be in about 17 more laps.
Could be. Kenseth is impeding his progress a little bit there. Made him try to go to that bottom side. See, Matt even actually picked up some on Denny Hamlin. Doing everything again. You see him sliding the car off the corner.
You know, Matt Kenseth with the disappointing race at Phoenix last Sunday, and as he tries to close on Denny Hamlin for the lead, I can't help but think that if it doesn't work out for him today, the way he handled that day when he climbed from the car and he faced all the interviews and all he did was say, you know what, we've had a great season. I love this team. I love my crew, and we'll go next week and give it our all, but we just had a bad day. Nobody to blame. What a great team this is. That's going to make them even more dangerous next season, I think, because what a way to have, when you've had the worst day you could probably have at the worst time, what a way to have your driver handle it.
Yeah, it couldn't have come at a worse time for him with just one remaining, but as you said, when your driver, the man that you all look up to, handles it like that, he gets a lot of respect from that team, doesn't he?
Yeah, and those guys will go to the wall for him. They do anyway. But those kind of comments after a really bad day will really rally that crew around that driver.
Jimmy Johnson, speaking of rallying.
Yeah, wow.
Racing and trying to take 6th away from Clint Boyer.
See Boyer there, his teammate, Martin Truex Jr. up in that 4th spot. What a great run for him here as he finishes out his time at Michael Waltrip Racing, the Napa brand on the side of that car for the final time.
Yep. Some of the many stories that wrap up as this season wraps up. You know, you think about Boyer, you think about Richmond, and how, in my opinion, that really just set them sideways and broke all their momentum dealing with the aftermath of that. They had no chance in this championship just from that, really, practically.
No, they didn't, but they didn't give up. They continued to battle, even though it took them a few weeks to kind of recover from that, but by that time they were too far behind.
Hamlin, Kenseth, Dale Jr. for the race win, while Jimmy Johnson runs 7th.
Yeah, Junior just looking for that one opportunity that he can get that great run right through the center of the corner here where he's back in the gas, get to the outside of Kenseth. Then he can set sail. Kenseth's car awfully good right now, though, through the center. Gonna make it tough. Taking that shorter way around.
There's a big run.
Yeah, he's got another big run. Can he make it stick this time, get enough to put a slide job? Whoa!
He just took it away from him right there.
Yeah, but he's costing him a lot of momentum. Into the wall maybe a little bit by Junior.
What a job Kenseth did, though.
Yeah. Junior can taste this. He knows he's got the car.
He's still got a lot of time. He doesn't need to panic yet.
But that just let Hamlin get a little further away.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth, we've seen this calm and cool customer, and we talk about that, but I'll tell you what, you don't want to mess with him on the racetrack. I mean, he'll race you fair all the time, but don't try to do something at the end of the race to put yourself in position, because he's going to make you earn that.
Here we go again. We're looking for a little running room. David Rudem in the lap car, giving way.
I don't think Junior's got enough right here to clear him again.
He's going to try it.
Nope.
Oh, boy.
Hamlin's loving what he's seeing back there.
Kenseth has to protect every point he can try to protect.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Can't give up
at all.
Yep. And Junior, he just needs a win desperately.
Yeah, and he's getting frustrated right now.
Yeah, certainly. Could play a little game, get him a little loose right there. This is where Junior has to really, at some point, drive it a little bit deeper in the corner where he can get back to the throttle and then get up beside of Kenseth.
He's going to have another run down the straightaway here. Not going to have enough, though.
Denny Hamlin easing away from this great fight for second place, while Jimmy Johnson runs 7th in position that he needs to be to win the championship in another 8 laps. Make it 7 now.
If you get a run to him, maybe if you run the middle and drive him to the top, we'll have a chance. You're doing great, man. 7 to go.
I think that Kenseth made Junior use up some car that he hasn't had to use up in other times whenever he was making this pass.
They lost a little ground to Hamlin while they were fighting it out, but they're starting to gain just a little bit of it back.
Hamlin, Kenseth, Earnhardt Jr., 1, 2, and 3. Jimmy Johnson, 7th place in pursuit of a 6th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship ring. Our Racing Through History presented by Lowe's. No question, Jimmy Johnson is Mr. October and November of NASCAR since the advent of the chase system. 24% of all the races he's won, and going to be, potentially, in another 5 laps, a 6-time champion in a span of 8 years.
Yeah, just an incredible run. Something we've never seen. We talked about the 5 championships in a row, something we've never seen, and certainly this just continues that. But just amazing what Jimmy Johnson and this team have been able to accomplish.
Keselowski, Boyer racing for 5th and 6th. And Kyle Busch right behind Jimmy. And again, if you're that 48 now, you can feel it, you can taste it. You don't want to see the caution. You don't want to fight anybody at this point. You just want to let it run out. NASCAR countdown, we saw Jimmy Johnson and the training that he goes through and how hard he pushes himself. And really, Jimmy and Chad and Rick Hendrick and this whole organization have raised the bar of what it means to compete in this championship for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
In every area, I'm talking about in engines and in engineering, obviously the driver and the crew chief, the pit crew, every area, they push it to another level.
Yeah, as a driver, Jimmy Johnson's just taken things to another level as far as his fitness and being in the positions, you know, as you go through summer months and hot days and being in this car, he's just made himself better in there than other people, and it shows when it comes time to win these races and be the best for 10 races.
Giving up spots there that he can afford to give up with Matt Kenseth running second and inside the final 3 laps. Jimmy Johnson, 38 years old from Southern California, admittedly, by his own admission, came to this sport without a lot of experience or success in stock car racing. But Jeff Gordon saw something in Jimmy Johnson that caught his eye, and he talked Rick Hendrick into hiring Jimmy Johnson. Rick partnered him up with Chad Knaus, and to say the rest is history would be a very true cliche. Jimmy running in 8th, while Denny Hamlin looks for a much-needed victory on his own. White flag is up, final lap. Remember, it was in the last race in 2010 when Denny lost the championship to Jimmy Johnson that a lot of folks thought broke his stride for the following year. Had a tough year in 2011. Now Denny's going to end 2013 if nothing goes wrong in this final half lap with a win that just might set him on his stride heading into 2014 after a tough year this year.
Yeah, very well could. What a great performance they've had here today.
Dominated the second half of the race along with Dale Jr., held him off at the end. Checkered flag, career win 23, Denny Hamlin, your winner at Homestead Miami Speedway. Matt Kenseth will finish second, and here he comes, champion for the 6th time, it's Jimmy Johnson.
2013, excuse me. Yes, yes, yes! Thank you, guys. What a race team. You guys are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, my man. Thank you. What a spectacular job this season. Great season, everybody. Proud of everybody. Very proud. You better get a sip of that damn bottle you got in there because that's the last healthy liquid you're going to have for the rest of the night.
I just can't even begin to thank you, Chad. Thank you, everybody on this race team, everybody at home and Hendrick. You guys give me the best cars in the world to drive, and I so thank you for it.
You're the best out there, buddy. You're the best out there.
Most all-time, Rick Hendrick, his 11th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship, and second most all-time only to the Hall of Famer Dale Inman. Chad Knaus, a champion crew chief again, Dave.
He absolutely is, and he had his phone up there. Got a little something you want to tweet to the world there, Chad?
No, man, I don't tweet.
If you did.
If I did, I would for sure. That's for my private collection. No, it's man, what a great day. I just can't thank everybody at Hendrick Motorsports enough. A lot of effort went into the performance of this 48 car this season. everybody on the 48 team has dug in really deep. We've had a whole lot of new players on our team this year, from engineers to mechanics to pit crew members, and everybody played a very important role into what it was we needed to do this year. So everybody at Lowe's, Hendrick Motorsports, couldn't be prouder.
Your reaction on the lap 193 restart, the contact with Matt?
Yeah, I don't know really what happened. Somebody spun their tires, or there was some type of contact up ahead of us, and shoot, we went from, 6th to 27th pretty quick. I knew our car was plenty good enough to drive back up there. Wish we could have raced for it. I think we would have had a car that could have potentially ran up front, maybe won the race, but hey, we'll take what we got. We got a good trophy.
You've been away for a couple of years. How will this one feel to celebrate?
Painful. It's going to be painful tomorrow morning. I can promise you that. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. The thing that I had actually told somebody at the shop the other day, you can't take these for granted. You can't take wins for granted. You can't take championships for granted. They're so difficult. They're so hard to achieve, and you have to cherish each one of them.
They will cherish number 6. Number 6 for the whole team. Chad Knaus, who's been with Jimmy for all 12 of his Sprint Cup years, AB.
The conversation will begin about best ever. Jimmy Johnson now with that 6th championship, one behind Richard Petty the King and the late great Dale Earnhardt, who have 7. Jimmy said earlier this year, I want 8. Why not? Why shouldn't I? And rightfully so. And while it's hard to compare people of different eras, I always, the thing about Babe Ruth or Henry Aaron or Barry Bonds and so on, without question, the greatest of their era in NASCAR. Jimmy and Chad and Rick Hendrick and this group.
There's no doubt that in the 2000s that this is the team and the driver that has done the most. And where does he compare? You can't help but put him in that conversation. Just tremendous what he's able to accomplish as a driver.
What a valiant run by Matt Kenseth. He'll come up 2nd in the race and 2nd in the championship, Jamie.
Quite a year for Matt Kenseth. 41 years old. You decide to take the leap and go to Joe Gibbs Racing, and together it's a new team. 7 wins later, you guys came up just 1 spot short. What do you take away from this season, Matt?
I can't believe you had to start that interview with the age comment. I mean, thanks.
It looked darn good in the car.
I mean, it was just an unbelievable year for us, really. I mean, obviously we wanted to finish off and win the championship as good as we ran all year, but couldn't be more proud of the whole Dollar General Home Depot team. They did a spectacular job all season, all day today again. Super happy for Denny to get his win here tonight. He really needed that. Denny and Kyle are awesome teammates. I'm really looking forward to getting into next season. But yeah, the night overall was really good for us. Really dominant when it was sunny out. When it got dark, we were off just a little bit, and then I had that mishap on that restart that kind of got us behind. But overall, I don't think you could ask for much more.
Great to watch Matt Kenseth and Jason Ratcliffe in this 20 team this year. Alan?
With class and elegance, as always.
Yeah, he's such a great competitor and true professional.
Well, Matt mentioned it. Good to see his teammate Denny Hamlin win the race. Denny is driven into victory lane after scoring today at Homestead.
For the 8th straight season, Denny Hamlin has won a race in the Sprint Cup Series. But, boy, you had to earn this one after missing a month of the season, all the ups and downs that this team went through. How good does it feel? What's it mean to you to be back in victory lane?
It's amazing. I just is the year over yet? It's over.
It's over.
Man, I wanted to keep that streak alive. And, this guy right here, Chris Gillen, he's been my car chief the whole time. He's moving on, but thank you very much. The whole FedEx team is stuck with us. Just my gas man's been with me for 9 years. He's moving on. It's just a lot of great stuff going on. Lori Tucker came here today with FedEx. It's just been a great experience with them, and for them to stick with me. Got to thank FedEx, of course. Toyota, thank you. Sprint, the Jordan brand, Tag Heuer, eyewear, the fans, and they said I want a contender boat, a 25-foot contender boat. So that's awesome. It's just it's a heck of a way to go out.
It's going to be a party tonight in Miami. Denny Hamlin wins at Homestead.
Denny celebrating in victory lane. A big win after the struggle this season has been for him. They've gathered up the champ, Jimmy Johnson, behind a pace car over in turn 3. He'll be joining the celebration on the front stretch at the stage. Our Goodyear Superior performer, the champ, for a 6th time. The trophy presentation coming up from the Homestead Miami Speedway. The fireworks are going off. The stage is set. The team is gathered. And the champ has driven his car to where he's about to celebrate his 6th championship. Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and now Jimmy Johnson in the conversation of the all-time greatest of NASCAR. He's ready to come out of the car. Dr. Jerry Punch is downstairs.
Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Your 2013 NASCAR Sprint Cup champion, Jimmy Johnson. There's Mr. H coming in to give him a big hug. 11 NASCAR Sprint Cup championships for Rick Hendrick. What an incredible dynasty as they have their special moment together. Jimmy, let me set the record straight. You are no longer, thank you, you are no longer 5-time. From this moment on, you are now 6-time NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. Congratulations.
Thank you. I hear you up there. Thank you. Oh, wow. I don't even know where to start. I am lost for words, but just so proud and so thankful for this opportunity at Hendrick Motorsports. Thankful that Jeff Gordon and Rick Hendrick gave me this opportunity back in 2002. Thankful that Lowe's came on board. I want to say hi to all the employee owners that are watching, everybody back at Hendrick Motorsports and all the departments. This sport's about people, and our people at Hendrick Motorsports, especially on this 48 car, rose up and got the job done this year. And I am so thankful to drive for this race team and so honored and so excited to have the 6-pack.
For the millions watching at home, when I walk by and look at your left front fender, I've got to ask you, how much of a hold your breath moment did you have with 74 laps to go and suddenly contact with a 20 car on the restart?
Yeah, I had contact from behind that pushed me up into the 20, and both of us were out of control and sliding towards the outside fence at that point, so I didn't know what to think, but it got us mired back in traffic and made the last 50 laps kind of interesting, but we still had an awesome race car and got the job done. But you know, just so happy to win the 6th championship. I want to encourage everybody to go to Lowe's tomorrow. There's a $48 toolbox out there for you, so go pick it up. And just so many thanks to all the great sponsors and people that have worked on this car to make it go. I also want to, I know there was an angel, at least one, maybe 4 angels riding on my car. My grandmother passed away a month or so ago, and I'm without grandparents now, which is a sad thing, but I know my grandma and my other grandparents were helping me guide this car around the track, and this one's for her. She was my biggest fan.
Absolutely, she was, and this sport is all about family. Speaking of family, let's bring in Shanny, your wife, and your 3-year-old daughter, Genevieve, or Evie as you call her. Jimmy, you said Jimmy Johnson said a couple of weeks ago now, and you can see the emotion, the only thing better than winning is being able to share it with my girls. Jimmy, you wanted to share this with your girls, and you wanted your little ones with you. Evie is here. 2-month-old Lydia, I'm told, is on her way. How about this night?
Yeah, she's making me get emotional. It's not usually my thing. We're talking about people and team, and right there is the strongest woman on the planet, and she makes me who I am and makes me a better man. Does a great job, being a fantastic job raising these kids and keep me in line. I'm her 3rd kid, and I'm just so thankful to have her as my wife, and we're going to have a lot of fun and enjoy this moment.
Jimmy Johnson, the 2013 champion, celebrating with family here, and in just a few minutes we will go and have the formal stage presentation of the championship trophy upstairs.
What a great scene. You know, when I think about Jimmy Johnson, I think of someone who is pleasant, always polite, easy to deal with. But boy, when he gets behind the wheel of that race car.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's like a machine behind the wheel, but you can see the emotion right there. And he's just such a great guy. How can you not be a Jimmy Johnson fan?
You know, in this day and age, makes me so proud to be a part of this sport and see champions like this that don't have to talk about how great they are or do crazy things. good, solid person. But, yeah, I mean, he does the job behind the wheel. There's not a more competitive person out there, and he does whatever it takes to get the job done. And you just really have to appreciate how he lives his life and goes about it. He enjoys what he does immensely and is so appreciative of the opportunity.
The six-pack shower from on top of the car.
Pretty
when he
clever.
climbed from the window.
Yeah.
Take it to another level.
Six-pack of championship rings for Jimmy Johnson. The scene of the championship celebration at Homestead Miami Speedway. A hard-fought contest throughout this entire chase between Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. That on the final day, Johnson prevails in. Family moment. Jimmy's dad. Going way back to Jimmy's time riding dirt bikes as a kid. Yep. Got him started in racing. For the presentation of the championship trophy, we go back to the stage and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much. Now it is time for our official stage presentation to celebrate our 2013 NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. First of all, it is my pleasure to introduce to you from series title sponsor Sprint, the Senior Vice President of Consumer Sales, Jamie Jones. Jamie?
Jimmy, or should I say six-time, what you and your team continue to do year after year is incredibly phenomenal. We are truly fortunate to have you representing the sport in the Sprint brand. On behalf of everybody at Sprint, we're honored to be the first to formally congratulate you and your entire team on your NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship, the sixth time. Congratulations, Jimmy.
Thank you, and thank you for what Sprint does. You guys do so much for our sport, and I just can't thank you all enough for everything that you do.
Now it's my pleasure to bring in the chairman and CEO of NASCAR, Brian France, to present the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship Trophy. Brian?
Well, Jimmy, on behalf of the millions of fans all over the world, you're setting a new standard in this era and maybe in any other era. Congratulations on number 6.
Thank you, sir. So appreciate it.
He holds that trophy high. Ladies and gentlemen, history being made today at Homestead Miami Speedway. Jimmy Johnson. And I think the celebration may be a little too much for Evie. Jimmy, let's talk for just a moment about this team. From top to bottom, from Mr. Hendrick, Chad Knaus, your crew chief, Ron Malik, all these guys. What separates these guys apart from everybody else you run with week after week?
I think it's the relationship we have and the connection we have as a team. Everybody in this garage area works really, really hard. So, I mean, yeah, we put in a lot of hours, but there's something special about the group we have and how we can make a car go faster. I really don't know how it happens, but I'm excited it does and happy it does.
Well, it obviously works. Let's bring up Mr. Hendrick. Mr. H, come on up here if you would. 11 NASCAR titles. How about that for Hendrick Motorsports? Hey, Rick, there are other dynasties in sports, but rarely do we see a team where all the key players, the coaches, everyone stays together year after year and competes at the elite level. How did you do it? How do you keep these guys hungry and together every year?
You know, we're like a big family, and these guys work hard. All of the teams work together. See that 48 banner up in the stands. Hey, guys. And you know, I never thought I'd win one of these things, let alone 11 of them. But it's all about these guys, and I'm so proud of them. And, you know, that record kind of speaks for themselves.
You told me tonight during the race you were standing on one of your cars watching what was happening. You said last night you watched your buddy Richard Childers pace up and down, worried that maybe his grandson wasn't going to make it. What was going through your mind when you saw Jimmy Johnson's car have contact and suddenly smoke billowing out of the left front?
You know, I thought we were going to have to come in, and I thought it was over. And I texted Richard last night and told him I knew he was proud of Austin. And Richard's a great buddy, and I could see the stress on his face because I felt it tonight. You know, when you get down to it, Matt Kenseth and the Gibbs crowd are great guys. Matt's one of our best friends, But it's just these guys have worked their butts off, and hopefully we can get a few more.
Congratulations, Rick.
Thank you.
Rick Hendrick, the championship car owner. Jimmy Johnson here, the 6-time NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. And folks, it may be debatable who is the best driver all time in NASCAR history, but it is not debatable that this man right here is on the short list as some of the best ever to drive in this sport. Alan?
Personal mementos being gathered. Loyal to Rick Hendrick, the people that work for him, even people that no longer work for him. Loyal to him, and this group, led by their driver Jimmy Johnson, has just collected a 6th championship trophy. He came into the race needing to finish 23rd or better to claim that 6-pack of championships. If Matt Kenseth led the most laps and won the race, Matt did lead the most laps, but he finished 2nd. And despite a big scare, Jimmy Johnson able to come up with a 9th place finish. Had a car that ran as high as 2nd at times, but this restart with 74 laps to go provided the scare that Jimmy knew was coming at some point in the day.
Yeah, you know as a driver that there are going to be close calls throughout the day in a 400-mile race, and this restart certainly got their attention.
Yeah, this is about a quarter of an inch from disaster for this team. They dodged that, came back, did a good job of fixing the car and getting back competitive. They had a good enough car to possibly win this thing if they didn't have so much on the line, but what a great job they did.
Jimmy said, in my 5 times trying to win a championship, there was some adversity thrown at me through points of the race. The goal is to have a car I can confidently and comfortably run anywhere in the track if need be. He had it.
Yeah, he really did. Even those times when he fell back there, he was methodical in working his way back into the top 10, and that's what champions are made of, overcoming adversity.
So a season that started with Jimmy Johnson holding the winner's trophy in the sport's biggest race, the Daytona 500, ends with Jimmy holding the champion's trophy for a 6th time. A thought back on this chase from me is what a fight. We thought going into it that it would be a mano-a-mano between Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. It pretty well shaped up that way with Kevin Harvick and a couple others thrown in at times.
Yeah, they really did. There were a number of races, more than half of them, that they led the most laps between them. They won a lot of races. Just an incredible battle. And you have to understand that this was a top-notch performance, one of the best ever in the chase, and that's what Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus and his Hendrick Motorsports team do best, is when it comes time to win races and win a chase, you have to be on top of your game. They had one bad race, Matt Kenseth, and it cost him a championship.
Yeah, that's the deal. It's just one bad race and 2 professionals really showing what they can do. And Matt Kenseth was a very formidable opponent for Jimmy Johnson, that team. If they don't have that bad race, it does come down to here, and it would have been a lot closer. But, you know, Jimmy Johnson, I cannot believe the job that he's done over the years and how successful he's been and how he's represented the sport. I'm proud to say that he's our champion. I think he does such a good job representing us.
And in a race where 2 guys led all but 45 laps of the whole thing, you think, well, what an entertaining day. What a thrilling race this was, with Denny Hamlin winning and Jimmy Johnson celebrating his 6th championship. Let's swing over to the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio. Michael J.
Thank you, Alan. And what stands out for me about the 48 team, they struggled at the end of the regular season, 28th or worse in each of the last 4 regular season races. But when the chase began, they flipped the switch, and they were nearly flawless. An amazing run by the 48 team, a 6th championship. What are your thoughts on what you saw tonight?
Tonight, I saw just basically a flawless performance, except for the one problem with 74 to go. They had it right where they wanted them. They looked good. They were nice and calm. But for me, what was so big for me tonight is that 6th championship. Yeah, 6 is a big number. But for me, it puts him one step closer to tying 2 of the sport's greatest drivers, and that's Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. I mean, that one more, he's got him. That was a big, big stepping stone towards that number 7th title.
Yeah, obviously at the end of the season, they were just messing around when they had those struggles going on. When this chase started, they threw down the gauntlet and set the standard. And incredible what they've accomplished. Once again, kudos goes to Mr. Hendrick and his whole organization, as well as Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus. Outstanding. They are the standard bearer of the sport.
Oh, absolutely. You know, what we saw tonight was one of the greatest as it develops. 12 seasons in Cups, 6 championships. You know, what a great job to the 48 team. And that sets Hendrick Motorsports alone. That's not just a great race team, but one of the best franchises in all of professional sports. Incredible job tonight.
Yeah, folks came to the Homestead Miami Speedway tonight expecting a coronation, and that's exactly what they got. After a 2-year hiatus from the championship table, Alan, they're back.
And in that conversation with the Chicago Bulls and UCLA and the Boston Celtics, the Montreal Canadiens, the New York Yankees as those dominant sports franchises of all times. And why not in this age of social media? The tweeted picture.
Ed Canals doesn't tweet, but Jimmy does.
Yes, he does. With the trophy in the foreground. Well, what a season it's been. And a time for a little break for all these hard-working men and women that put on these races for us to enjoy. But it won't be long, less than 100 days before the 2014 Daytona 500. Tickets, Daytona500.com or 1-866-GO-NASCAR. Be fun to be back in the Florida sun come February and see the next running of the Great American Race. Not only do men and women work hard to put on these races for us, a lot of men and women work hard to televise these races for us, for our network and the others. And a big thanks and congratulations to all of them, and well-deserved time off coming up here. But we'll all be ready to go again come February.
We will. It's been a great year. Enjoyed working with you, and what a championship season for Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, it was. It was a great year, and I'm looking forward to Daytona myself already.
An epic championship fight between two just really good guys that are easy to cheer for, and a couple of strong organizations led by strong, successful men, Rick Hendrick and Joe Gibbs. In the end, it came down to just one bad day last Sunday that put Jimmy Johnson in position for a run to a 6th championship. He successfully did that tonight, avoiding some trouble along the way. And he and his team, as you've heard them say, going to have a long night celebrating somewhere on South Beach. NASCAR Now presented by 5 Hour Energy. Tonight at 11 on ESPN2 with a full wrap-up. And SportsCenter is next. So long from Florida, Jimmy Johnson is the champion.